You're not talking. There we go. All right. I am cooking now. How y'all doing? Welcome to the discussion here at Urban Intellectuals. We appreciate y'all joining us. Let's have a pretty good discussion. I'm going to let in our audience and get started today. All right. Hello, everybody. Appreciate y'all being here today. Spotlight, all that good stuff. All right. And I'm recording. Yes. There we go. All right. Yeah. Hey, how y'all doing? Happy Sunday to you. Sunday, June the 22nd. I appreciate y'all being here today. We are post Juneteenth. Anybody have an opportunity to go to our Juneteenth event? Give me a 19 in the comments. If you were there for our event. Oh, there we go. All right. Everything is working out right over here. Okay. Hopefully y'all was with us. How did you enjoy your Juneteenth? There's another good question for you. As usual, I want to remind you, this Sundays is all about participation, right? So it's more a discussion with all of us, right? I did a lot of talking on Juneteenth, and well, Saturday I was listening to myself talk, but there's a lot of that. So I want to make sure that we're engaging the community. Let me know in the comments again if you have been here before. Give me a 1 in the comments if this is your first time on Sunday dinner. Give me a 2 in the comments if you've been here before. And I want to open with our theme music. There we go. Let me get that going while y'all responding in the comments. Here we go.
Urban Intellectuals. Urban Intellectuals, yeah. Check. In a world that's unjust, I'm screaming, we love us. Equipped with knowledge, we are dangerous. In a world that's unjust, I'm screaming, we love us. Equipped with knowledge, we are dangerous. Yo, you got the power in the palm of your hands. I mean, literally, 52 flashcards, all about black history. They focus on success and less about misery. Information is the missing piece. Are you familiar with Black Wall Street or the Haitian Revolution? How about Angela Davis or Huey Newton? Mark Dean helped create IBM. Richard Wright was a poet. Have you ever heard of him? Get familiar with your culture. Women like Evelyn Granville probably paid the way for Oprah. Trying to be fly like Miss Bessie Coleman or like James Baldwin. I could be a spokesman. Man, the power of the black fist. What you know about the 68 Olympics? Dick Gregory, yeah, he kept it realer than most. Dr. King was instilling the hope. Let's keep it going.
Open your eyes.
Yes. Open your eyes, as we love to say here at Urban Intellectuals. This is our Sunday dinner, right? This is an opportunity for us to come together at our virtual grandmother's house and have our discussion over a virtual meal, right? Of one that's full of good conversation and engagement with the community. Let me give you our official intro to Sunday dinner, and then down in the comments, let's just have a little bit of fun. Drop your favorite dish that you remember going to grandma's house. Somebody do me a favor and drop sweet potato pie down there in the comments. Thank you. I appreciate you. But these conversations are important, and the history is critical. The experiences are important because you start to understand the weight of expectation. I'll say that the weight of expectation on us as a people in the community. We're having important conversations just like that and many more at Sunday dinner. You got your invitation. Conversations for the soul. This is what we're doing every Sunday here at Urban Intellectuals. My name is Freddie Taylor. I'm the CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals, and I'm your host, inviting you to Grandma's table at Sunday's dinner. You remember going to Grandma's house, don't you? The nostalgia of going to grandma's house, right? If y'all went to grandma's house, and you know you better act right when you get up in grandma's house, right? So we are here at grandma's house reconvening the family, right? And I think this is part of where we've gone astray, right? As a community, we've lost connection with our family structure. So rather than whine about it and cry about it, let's come together and talk about it. And start to reconnect our community members who are ready, willing, and able, right, to have these discussions, to engage in learning and developing together and moving the needle, right, on ourselves, our families, our communities, and eventually the diaspora. Listen, we feel like the company that has brought you Black history and culture with our Black History flashcards, our educational tools, our courses, and even our travel experiences is perfectly positioned to have this conversation. That's why we're doing it at Sunday Dinner. This is your official invite. Go ahead and click the link and register. Look, Grandma already been looking for you and asking about you. I ain't want to say nothing, but you're already here. Click the link, register. See you at Sunday Dinner. All right, then I guess I need an actual live version that says, welcome to Sunday Dinner. All right, so we'll get that together one of these days. I see some fried chicken, fried green tomatoes. Oh, I'm going home to see Dad soon. I'm going to have some fried green tomatoes. You brought me back right there on that one, Linda. Grandma's biscuits, buttered and heavy. Biscuits and molasses, banana pudding, buttered beans. All right, all right. Yeah, I'm getting hungry, right? I should have ate a bigger lunch, right? Getting ready for our discussion here today. Man, but them fried green tomatoes, that took me back. Hey, in the interest of sharing too much information, how about this? Over the weekend, my father had knee replacement surgery, right? So the 95-year-old went for it. And, you know, he's moving around already. He's back home. He's walking. He ain't returned my phone call today. So if one of my siblings is watching, I mean, I know the man is busy and all, but geez, he can't even return my phone call. No, I'll definitely try to call him again. I'm sure everybody is reaching out to him, but he seems to be doing really, really well and all of that. So that's what got me thinking about him. And then fried green tomatoes. Growing up, man, he used to, because of course he garden, right? There's a garden in the backyard. Mom and dad go pick the food, pick the vegetables out of the backyard, and he would always say, "Hey, you want some fried green tomatoes?" And that really means he wants some fried green tomatoes, right? So he would go and make some, and like every now and again I would indulge him. It's crazy because now I love them. Back then I didn't. So I think that'd be fun, right? To go have some fried green tomatoes with my man. Yeah, great news, definitely. He's busy planning his next trip. He is. He's hoping that he is okay and he gets cleared. He wants to come to South Africa. So that would be a great trip, great addition to the trip, right? If he can make it. But if not, hopefully we'll be able to go somewhere next year together. But y'all know, I don't know if y'all know, maybe I've said it in spots, but he dreams of getting back on the track, back into the Senior Olympics. And he said he wants to break the 100-year-old gold medal, world record for the 100 at 100 years old. So that was part of the motivation behind the knee surgery. Obviously, he likes to be able to move around and wants to be more mobile. But yeah, that's what he told me. He said, "Hey man, the man got to have a dream, right?" So he's 95. He'll be 96 in October. So just thinking about my man, and definitely got to get home and see him soon. So that'll be great, right? All right. How y'all doing today, right? Right, that was a lot. I went all the way around the circle with that discussion there. But I wanted to come together and talk about Juneteenth, right? Have this discussion within the community. So that's what I'm titling it here today, right? Juneteenth is over, now what? And that's the discussion and place that we want to pick up here in Sunday Dinner, right? He's planning his next trip. Yep, I didn't have the greens or the sweet potatoes. Wow, until you met your husband. Well, lucky you, right? He brought some goodness into your life. But all right, so Juneteenth is over. I got a quick question just to get audience participation up. One, did you come to the event that we held on Thursday, Juneteenth? And did you enjoy it? Let us know about that. But two, what did Juneteenth mean to you this year? Was it a celebration, reflection, or something else entirely? You can raise your Zoom hand to engage the discussion, right? So that is the question. Let me put it down in the comments. Here we go. Bam. So what did Juneteenth mean to you this year? Was it a celebration, reflection, or something else entirely? Okay, while y'all are being shy and not coming on to engagement, educational. Come on, Velma. I like y'all commenting. Somebody raise their hand and jump into this conversation. But while we're doing that, yeah, we need some volunteers, right? So if y'all are interested in assisting us over the internet, just having some engagement in our communities, I'm going to put Tamiko on blast and give out her email address. Hey, this is what happens when you're not here. I think it's something, and then now your name is attached to it. Just put in the subject line, just say volunteer. Yeah, if you're interested in assisting, and it'd be things like if you're on Sunday dinner, there may be like some little admin stuff, just like blocking people, kicking folks out, that type of thing. Engage in our social media posts and some other stuff that I kind of got planned. So if you're interested in that, in the subject line, put volunteer and email to Miko@urbanintellectuals.com. But the question on the floor is, what did Juneteenth mean to you this year? Was it a celebration, a reflection, or something different entirely? I see educational. Rosalind said, I learned so much, totally educational. Excellent. Celebration of the event. I love that. I love that. Rosalind, were you at our event? Hey, y'all, we had like 750, 760 something. I think they might have even got a little bit higher than that on our Juneteenth event. Y'all know, if you've been to our live events, give me June in the comments. If you've been to any of our live events, but particularly if you've been to our Black History Summit. I'm at every urban intellectual event. I love it. All right, Roz. I thought you were. I ain't want to assume, right? I wasn't being presumptuous there, but we definitely appreciate you engaging. It was a good discussion, y'all. I don't know how y'all not giving me any energy in these comments, but I don't know if you were there, but it was some very good discussions from Sister Kim McCowan, Dr. Javier Wallace, and Brother Dr. John Aiden as well. Really good discussions on not only just the history and the culture, but going deeper into our genealogy and the importance of it and how it all works together. It was powerful, y'all. And we've determined that we got to do more with Dr. Wallace. So there'll be more engagement with him. I went on an AARP tour of various stops on the Underground Railroad. In our county, it was about resistance, resilience, and reflection. Oh, I love that. Carolyn, would you mind jumping on the mic? Can we talk about that a little bit? Can I hear a little bit more about that? And where were you? You just said AARP tour in your county. All right.
I'm in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And I'm in Washtenaw County, which is Ann Arbor, Ypsi, Saline, I think Chelsea. I don't know all the cities, but yeah, we were on a 56-seat tour bus, and we had the woman we have a Black History, or no, not African American History Museum in Ann Arbor, and she was the dossier. And then we had the guy who arranged the tour. He was head of Washtenaw County's activities for AARP. And then our bus driver was really good. He got in some pretty narrow places.
That's always good.
Yeah,
so we went to Washtenaw County. Is that the county where they discovered the graves? Like they recently discovered like a grave site.
I think that was closer to Detroit, but I'm not for sure on that. But we did go to like a lot of our county used to be like big farmlands, and we went to a small graveyard that was on the property of the farm, and so we saw that, and that there was a couple stories there. She talked about usually the white people that were the stop, and then the Black people that helped them. And a lot of them, I'm not sure why this was, but a lot of them, they go to Canada and then they would come back. So I don't know what it is about our area, why they came back, like why they didn't just stay in Canada. But
that would be interesting. I'm not sure either.
Yeah, three families that she told me about, they made it to Canada, got their freedom, and then they came back. So
yeah, maybe they were coming back for family. Maybe they were coming back or that's just new where they were comfortable, I guess. I don't know.
Where they wanted to settle. Because they had farms too, also, when they got back over. And we also went to the cemetery that I didn't even know was there in Ypsilanti, and it had a monument to the Civil War, the blacks in the Civil War. So we went there and we saw all their graves. And
Oh, wow.
because they offered freedom in exchange for fighting. So they would sign up, and then some of it was honored and some they got burned. They served and they didn't get free. But
Right. Right.
um, what else did I learn? I just told my daughter yesterday, I was surprised how much I remembered, so I must have really been paying attention. And here's the thing, the bus, 56 passengers, and most of them were like older white people. There was some black women on there. No, the only men was the director and the bus driver, black men. But yeah, it was from 10 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, and I was like, my mind didn't wander anywhere. I was like right with them. So she was a good guide. So
Excellent. Yeah, it's nothing like
yeah.
having a good guide, right? Because
Mhm.
they really can bring the experience alive, the stories alive. And
Yeah, she did. And
yeah.
I had on a t-shirt from your shop that's it had Juneteenth, and then it had still fighting for freedom, or I forget what it said, but I had several people say, "Oh, I like your shirt. Where'd you get
I
it?"
love it. I
And they
love it.
hadn't heard about urban intellectuals, so I thought, oh, I should hand out cards or something. I made sure I'd say it like 3 times so they'd remember. I go, just go search for urban intellectuals, and I told them about Sankofa, and
I love it. I love
yeah, it
it.
was a good day. It was really good day and free AARP. It was free of charge, except for I tipped the speaker and the 3 leaders. I tipped them, but otherwise it would have been totally free. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's an appreciation, right, for the work and the engagement that they did. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
definitely always a good move. That's a good move. I
yeah,
love it. And shout out to AARP, right?
yeah.
I'm turning 50 next year, y'all. So I guess they already been emailing me and mailing me stuff. I'm like, hold up. But apparently I could be official next year. So
They have a lot of good stuff. So
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing, and definitely thank you for sharing us. We always appreciate you. Brenda, come on in.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing today?
Oh, I am just fine. I decided I wasn't gonna be shy and raise my hand.
There you go.
Um,
There you go. We don't
I
start
was
no trouble over here.
okay. I was on the summit and actually went to the replay as well because I wanted to make sure that I miss anything. But for me, it was all three. It was education, celebration, and a reflection. Where I'm from, we weren't taught about Juneteenth. I didn't learn about Juneteenth really. I knew the story about Captain Granger, coming around to Texas and getting the newsletter, but I had never heard it called Juneteenth. Didn't know anything about that, and so I was raised in South Carolina. And it wasn't until I moved here to Texas that the nomenclature of Juneteenth. So I learned a lot. I've been learning all my years. So it was a education and celebration in that because I do celebrate it. It was a reflection, though, for me, given the times that we are in right now and how far we as a people have come, and we're resilient. We have overcome, oh my gosh, so much. But it was a reflection on how far we have yet to go.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. So I'm about, each one teach one. So I try to make sure I get somebody online, and I've taken bus tours and things like that. And I always try to take somebody with me, that has never been, but I definitely appreciate the education we got on the summit. It was, it was just, as the kids say, it was tight. Okay. And I'm a grandma, so it was tight. Okay, my grandkids would be proud of me. Um, but I enjoyed it. I definitely did. And I made sure that I got home from church on time enough today to get on this call because it was getting long and the kids were having their performance. I said, oh, I got to get home. Okay. It was great.
So was that your first event with us?
Pretty close to it, I think, because I'm usually tied up on Sundays or whatever. And that was I'd never been to Juneteenth. I had done some Juneteenth events in purpose on town. Okay. But online, I was participating with my grandkids, you know, in the kids' classes. Yes. Hadn't nearly, and I say my grandkids, they're big kids now, but anyway. But I hadn't really been able to get my schedule straight for anything else. So this was really my first good real event, and I got to tell you, it was awesome. And I'm back. You got me. I'm back. I'm a member. I just don't click on. You know, when by the time I get to the link, or by the time I get in, my schedule's all messed up. You know, so it's on my phone. I get my reminders. You know, everything. I'm set up. I'm ready to go.
Well, I love it. I love it that I love that you enjoyed it. So
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
it. Thank you for coming on and saying that. And thank you for joining, becoming a member. And we just got to get you to engage now.
All my nieces and nephews and my grandkids and all that. I have the flashcards. They have the flashcards. I sent them to my son. He think he wasn't going, Mama, I don't need these. 2 weeks later, Mama, guess what? I had to use them cards at an event we did last week. I said, okay, you wasn't gonna use them. All right.
Yeah. You didn't need them.
Mom, I don't need these. I go, okay, I'm sorry. Just put them in. Mom, I had to use them. I said, okay, all right, not a problem.
I love it.
It's all good. It is all good.
Who was your favorite speaker? I know that's probably impossible. Just roll the dice with us.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna say Gwen. She just brought it home. You know, very. I'm saying Gwen McGowan, Dr. McGowan.
Oh, Kim.
Yeah, Kim, not Gwen. Kim McGowan. Very, very just very relatable.
Yeah.
I just really liked her. But I have high for all of them. Dr. Aiden, you know,
Dr. Javier Wallace.
Yeah, Dr. Javier. Now I had never heard him before. Dr. Aiden I was familiar with, but Dr. Wallace I never had. And you know, Kim's name always comes up, you know, somewhere. But she was just really, really, really very good. And I learned so much. I learned so very, very, very much.
I love it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I love it. Well, thank you for engaging and coming on. But it was definitely a good summit.
Well, take it from a first timer. Need to get in. Ready to work.
Hey, I'll be trying to tell folks we put it down now when we do our events. But it's mainly because we have a pretty wonderful network of people that's willing to share this information. And like I say, we dusted off Dr. Wallace. Y'all ain't even know that. But definitely a good brother. We definitely got to have him back, and we got to do more. I think. Thank you, sister. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
I'll definitely say we're gonna do some more with Dr. Wallace. I want to go to Austin. I want to put a trip together, and we go down there. Get him live and in person and go on his tour, Black Austin, and have that experience. And then we can do Sunday dinner live, right? So I'm warming this idea up. I'm trying to figure this out. Someone says, I've been trying to reach. Okay. Lorraine, 1 second. I'll email you in a second. Cecilia, come on into the discussion, young lady. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm feeling good. About to go home next week.
All right, that's good news.
Right. And I attended the summit, and I really enjoyed it. Dr. Wallace was very interesting with the enlightenment about Panama and the things that were happening there. And I'm the family genealogist. So I really enjoyed Kim's presentation.
Yes.
because it's amazing how much information you can find out about your families from census documents. I found my great grandfather's, who was an adult at the end of the Civil War. I found his death certificate
Wow.
online, and he listed the names of his wife, Grandma Julie, who used to claim when she got mad at folk, she would claim that she wasn't a Harris, she was a Carrington, who was the owner of the plantation. And she would deny other people, because she was that kind of a Grandma Julie. And on Grandpa Paul's death certificate, he listed her name as Julie Carrington, not that she was the mother of a whole brood of Harrises, but he listed her as the Carrington and she looked like an old white lady in the pictures that I've had. So, and on the census document, she's listed as a mulatto. So there's some truth to the story that she told. And also another thing is when I lived in DC, my youth group from my church went to visit the New York Avenue Presbyterian Church, which was Abraham Lincoln's church. His pew was there set aside, and there was a copy of the Emancipation Proclamation that I saw in his handwriting. It was a draft, but it was the Emancipation Proclamation. And the guide who told us the story made a big point that the Emancipation Proclamation did not free the slaves.
Mm-hmm.
It only freed the slaves that were in the states that had seceded from the Union. So they were claiming not to be a part of the United States. So Abraham Lincoln really didn't have jurisdiction over those slaves. What really freed the slaves was the 13th Amendment. And Abraham Lincoln didn't really plan on freeing slaves
Right.
because he said whatever would save the Union. If the slaves were free, if that would work, he would do that. If it didn't free the slave, if the slaves were not free, and that would save the Union, he was all right with that. And he actually wanted to send us all back to Africa. He didn't really want free people, thought that would be too disruptive for us. So, in just looking at the time and having discussion groups about it, it's really interesting to note the difference in what people felt, because it's different for lots of different groups.
Yeah.
And just talking about it with people and bringing up the Juneteenth situation, it's enlightening to just to go through. Even had a conversation with one group of people because I was having some vanilla ice cream. And I mentioned that, Black people were not allowed to have vanilla ice cream. That's why so many Black people's favorite ice cream is butter pecan, because we weren't, right? And it was my daddy's favorite ice cream is
It's my
butter
mama's
pecan.
favorite. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And those people who were older, who probably dealt with their grandparents only being able to eat butter pecan, because vanilla was too white and Black people were not allowed to have vanilla ice cream. And that came up and people didn't believe, that was the case. But that just little tidbits like that came up in discussing Juneteenth with different people.
Yeah.
And I really would like to learn more about the Panama situation. Would be interesting to hear about it, and the sports.
Yeah, he brought in a lot of interesting conversations that I know I typically don't go into those areas of discussion, right? Or even been reading and educating myself, particularly like the deeper dive in to the Panama Canal. And you're not thinking about Black folks coming down and participating in the building of the canal, but on a different pay scale and having that conversation. And then they start to ban Black folks from coming to attend just so they don't gotta, try to divide the pace. It's just so much history out there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Great. But it was an awesome program.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
you. I'm glad you're always with us. I know you be with us, so I know you appreciate the work. So, Dr. Wallace was a good addition, though, right? He was a good addition and Kim, right? Because she's both are outside the program. Well, now we get more Kim, but that's good. That's good. All right. Yeah, thank you, sister. I'm glad you're feeling better and headed home soon. That's good.
Yeah. All right.
Yes. All right. So if y'all just joining us, of course, we're talking about our Reclaim Your Roots, how understanding Black history changes everything for your Juneteenth Black History Summit that we put on just short of 6 hours. I think we did 5 hours and 38 minutes or something like that. We're somewhere in there. I think that might have been the new record. We were about 5.5 hours last year as well. Slated for 4 hours, but hey, the conversation keeps going. As sometimes you might notice here at Sunday dinner, right? Because we are technically here for 2 hours. But we had a beautiful discussion yesterday. I'm tempted to play a little bit and just kind of maybe get some talking points out of there and keep the discussion going. Yeah, but somebody else, if you want to raise your hand, or please raise your hand, let me say that, and come into the discussion. Let us know what you thought about either the Juneteenth presentation, if you were there, or your Juneteenth experience. What did you do for the holiday this year? Here's a good question. What do you think about it being a national or a federal holiday? I know I remember when it happened back in 2021, I believe it is. There was a bit of an uproar, right? A tizzy in the community, right? Oh, mind boggling. Oh, y'all were talking. Oh, I missed all of this. I'm learning so much. The story's so fascinating. Do we have access to these recordings? I'm working on an app. David, if you purchased the replay, we didn't offer the replay. It was $15. Now it's $22. And now I'm just realizing I don't got all my links to even send the stuff around to you. Go ahead. Somebody jumping in? Oh, hey, Brother Jay, I'm gonna look for these links so that I can get you the link, Brother David. 1 second on that. Hey, Brother Jay, how you doing?
Pretty good, my brother. And can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I watched on a couple occasions the program and everything. It was just really, really, really insightful, especially some of the corrections that was made concerning Ivan Van Sertima, what he came up with, and then research showed something a little bit different, but it was all good. It was really all good because it's still part of our history, who we are as a people. I wanted to make one comment, and maybe I don't want to jump the gun, but concerning Juneteenth. Now, back in the day, shortly after I got out of the military, I was the director of a counseling center here in Los Angeles with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We have these centers all over the U.S. So I became the chairperson of what we call the African American Working Group. So we convinced the higher ups to give us a trip to Washington, D.C. annually to participate in the Congressional Black Caucus.
Okay.
Okay. So we would have sometimes 50, 45 people going and whatever. We participated in the caucus. But one of the features that stood out to me back there in that time was a presentation done by a brother at the African American Museum, Civil War Museum, and Civil War Memorial and Museum. And his presentation dealt with the idea that a lot of African Americans still to this day use this term that we freed ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what that is in reference to is that this General Granger, who was touted as the one who brought the word to tell the slaves that they were free, was not correct. And he did about an hour presentation on the black unit out of Virginia, who took a ship. These are military guys who took a ship round the coast all the way out to Texas, because they knew that the black people in Texas had not been freed and nobody had gone out to let them know about that. A lot of other technicalities, they say, well, they had to get this kind of approval, that kind of approval, all kinds of others. But long story short is, when the Texas governor heard about this shipload of black soldiers coming to Texas to free the slaves, he took off to Mexico because he didn't want to have nothing to do with these brothers. Long story short is that these soldiers were the ones who went into Texas first before Granger and told the people that they were free, and then in a couple of occasions got into some skirmishes here and there. But I say all that to say this: I can't let that information go each time I see or participate in the Juneteenth celebration, because we are cheating ourselves short of the real history behind Juneteenth. Okay, now I'm working on and have been trying to get information. The brother has since passed away. The museum is doing some renovation or something, so they're closed. I'm trying to get the information, contact the family to see if they have any of his information that he used during that time. Because last year when I called the museum, they couldn't even remember his name, neither could I. Okay, so I just want to throw that out there just in case somebody has heard this adage or heard this idea that we black people freed ourselves. That's what it was in reference to, was that group of soldiers who went to Texas to free them. So hopefully, and I've made a commitment, God willing, and the creek don't rise, as they say, that by this time next year, during Juneteenth, that I'll have that information. And I'm working and I have a lot of the other fellas, people who are in our group who know about it, who's trying to help out too. So, but regardless of that, it was a beautiful celebration and all of this. But each time I hear about what Granger did, I kind of get a little bit, because I think about that it was them brothers who went around the coast on the ship and notified the people that they was free. And they got into some skirmishes or whatever. The governor ran off to Mexico, something like one of them Ted Cruz moves, but you're sorry. So anybody who may know something about that or have heard something, anything that you can provide, I would really appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, thank you, brother, for that. I personally can't speak to it.
Yeah.
I almost wish we would have asked Dr. Javier Wallace, right? Because I know he's got the long standing history of his family being there, right? He traced his family back. I think that was in the, what do you say? It was before the emancipation. Like they'd been the 1820s, I think, in Texas there, something like that. So and they're a historian. So it would be really interesting to see. I will follow up. I'm gonna make a note over here and shoot his brother a message.
Get anything. But this brother had a detailed, he had newspaper articles and all kinds of other information, both from Virginia and Texas, about their journey and their arrival and all of that. He had all of that stuff to back up everything that he was presenting. So I'm going to still be working on it and trying to, work with the folks at the Civil War Museum in DC. So if anybody know anything, Freddie, you got my information. Please pull my coat.
Okay. I just pulled him up over here. I'm about to shoot the message. I know he's busy, always doing something fantastic, but he's still in Panama right now. So I'll follow up with him and see if anybody else might know anything in around. I've heard the conversation that we freed us. I wasn't sure which way you were gonna go with that discussion because kind of like of the as you kicked it off, right? Like it ain't like what's his name? Lincoln really wanted to free the slaves, right? He actually said if he could find a way to keep the Union if he could find a way to keep the Union without freeing the slaves, he totally would do it, right? And I'm sure he said many, many more worse things that we aren't privy to. I like to think about Juneteenth. Like I said, I can't validate that either way, but I mean, Granger, going to send the word to me kind of just rolls off of my back. If I'm honest, I don't think about any of that. What I think about is the devious nature of the people in the South. One, to enslave individuals, period. Two, to continue to enslave individuals knowing they was free.
Okay.
Right under the eyes of the law. Because a lot of the conversation is, well, slavery was legal, and that's as sick as that is to even say it's the truth about this community. But that level of evil, there's no other way to put it. That level of evil was drifting throughout the South, the North as well, right? They tend to get off just because, they was good today in words, right? They let them drink out the same water fountain, right? Never mind the redlining and the Jim Crow and all of the rest of the mess on top of it all. But that evil was very pervasive in the South. My dad tells a story, and I remember being young and just thinking he was in total left field. And then somebody else said that they had an elder in their family who said something similar. And what part of the story goes, it's the 50s. Yeah, it's the 50s. He's a young man. He's like, I'm in my 20s, right? Because 20, he was born in 29. So sometime in the 50s, and he basically met a brother that thought that had escaped the plantation recently. Like their people were still being held captive up into the 50s. Now, again, when I was young, I was just dismissing things. Now I've heard that story from somebody else and their elders as well, right? Whether it was the 40s, whether it was the 30s, but it was long after this quote unquote emancipation. So I brought that up, one, because the brother James talking about it, but that evil spirit is there. It's been there. It's always been there. It never went away. And I think what's good about Trump, which kind of sounds weird to say, is he's reminding y'all overtly that that spirit never went anywhere. It was they just got civil. Like they say, they took the hoods off, they put on suits. Now they taking them suits off again, and they're just putting it back in your face. So I think it's good to the point, that it's going to reunify us. There's a lot of folks who forgot. It's a lot of folks who got some bread, got a little bit of cash, got a little bit of access, and thought, hey, they got on that. Hey, well, if you pull your pants up and you just work harder, you can make it too, like me, right? And all of that, like. But now this boy is reminding you, you still one of them words to us.
Yeah,
you still ours.
Yeah,
right. You do what we say. You don't gather and engage and get bold. You ornery Negroes,
right.
Ornery Negroes that you dare to want some equality. That's the interesting thing about all of this is Black folks is still just searching for equality. Like we ain't nobody saying give us nothing. Ain't nobody. Well, I want reparations. Hold on. Make America pay reparations. Let me back up. That ain't me. I ain't in that group. I cut the check. I'm in that group. Cut the check and just leave us alone. I don't even need no equality. Just leave us alone. And that's really all we need. Cut the check. We're gonna hold you to that. Damn that. Everybody else done got paid their reparations. I ain't never letting that go. And that's the only issue I have. I don't care about nothing else, right? Cut the check. That's all we need from y'all. Cut the check and leave us alone. That's it. We two things. That's it. You got to cut the check though, because this world, this society, this, as long as it stands, I don't know. Are we witnessing the fall of an empire, World War III? Is that like cracking right now? I don't know, but things ain't never been good for us. The foot has always been on our back. The heat has always been at the door, right? Nothing has changed. So cut the check and leave us the hell alone. And I love this period about Juneteenth in that conversation, because I was like alluding to it on the summit and I got a little too far into it and all of that. I was talking about the compromise of 1877, but that 12-year process of reconstruction between 1865 and 1877, Black folks made progress in the South like crazy. It's unbelievable the amount. We've never had a period. And of course, you going from a period of nothing to something is going to be an incredible growth, right? So I don't want to discredit that or any of that. But wow, I mean, everything from 2,000 elected officials, we're talking about just in the South, and we're not talking about like the Senate. Well, you had a senator, right? Hiram Rebels was the first Black senator, and then I think there was another one. But we're talking about, public office, all between the state senate all the way down to the local legislation. And this is where you get the emancipation, not the emancipation part, the 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment. You get rapid economic growth because now we can control our labor. We can spend money. You had the Freedmen's Bureau. You had all of these things that were set up to assist the formerly enslaved people on their way. And then what did you see? You saw the Union, the North, them good white folks that y'all, we love so much. I love them good white folks. Pulled on the agreement they pulled the agreement of the compromise of 1877 in exchange for the presidency. They allowed the terrorists, what do you call somebody that try to overthrow the government? Because that's literally what they did, right? They formed a separation. Then they went to war with the country. Yeah, coup, insurrectionists. There's a nastier word. I'd like to use the nasty word because I don't want to be civil. These folks ain't civil, so why would I be civil? Right? There's a word, but
Traitor.
Traitors.
There we go. Traitors. These are actual traitors. Trump is saying, let's restore the basis to the names of these. They are literal traitors to the country. And the compromise of 1877 basically withdrew the Union troops out of the South because equality had to be physically enforced. These people were going to do it again because that's in their spirit, that's in their nature, that's who they are, and that's how they feel about you. And soon as they moved out, then they allowed the same traitors to now occupy public office. They recanted on as many of those legislations that they could. This is why you get this bullshit about states' rights.
Right.
States' rights is the code word for just let me do what I want to do with them. Y'all stay over there. We gonna vote. States right. That's right. That's like a great idea. Listen, black folks, they just set y'all up for the okie doke. It's the state. That is the coded language that they use. But hey, just let us run our state like we need to. Y'all keep y'all federal troops out,
right,
so that we can handle this population like we want to. Right now, you see Trump kind of flipping it. He's taking the federal troops and going in and using it for really that same spirit and energy that came out of 1877. Because what do you get? You get the rise of the Klan. Right. All those beautiful black enclaves beyond Black Wall Street that was built and burnt down and sabotaged and redlined out of place and eminent domain and rising prices and bans and all of the nonsense and not economic terrorism, but physical terrorism and intimidation in these areas. That's when you get the rise of all of that, when they pull the troops out.
Yeah.
And like that is like mind boggling, because we talk about Galveston, where whoever came and told them that you're now free, that mentality that if you just go away in the pockets of America, they will do the same thing today to you.
Absolutely.
And that's why I appreciate Trump being who the hell he is, because there's a lot of us that went to sleep and you really, really thought you had equality and equalness in this country. Now, I think you deserve it. I think it's our birthright. And I think that your ancestors have fought and gave literal hell for you to have what we got. And I'll be damned if we gonna give it up, right? But if you want to step outside the country for a bit, I ain't mad at you. And I get it. Sometimes in war, you don't always charge. Sometimes you got to be strategic, right? Sometimes you got to do what's best for you in your immediate situation, so you can fight a different way and come back together. But at least that's how I see it. I see people saying, I ain't running, I ain't scared, I ain't this. Man, good luck. It's like, I don't know. These folks are crazy. I love Trump because he reminds you that there is a literal crazy element among us on this planet. And we say it's Kim Jong-un, and we say it's, Iran, and we say it's these other people that somebody else tell us who it is. But crazy is crazy, and it don't seem to belong in no particular religion, no region, no color, no nothing. Crazy is crazy, and that's what we seem to be dealing with here today. I don't even know how I got there. See, Brother Jay,
absolutely.
Brother Jay, get me fired up.
But you're right. You're so much on point, though, Freddie, until the things that you are saying and expressing or whatever are things that we are feeling.
Yeah.
Even if we don't talk about it or say anything about it, they're the things we're feeling. Yeah. You see, because we have to understand that even when they did kind of take their feet off, they saw what we could do, what we were capable of. We're talking about over 41, and I've got them all documented here, cities, towns, townships that were burnt to the ground because they saw what we were capable of doing. Yeah. Not that we were doing anything wrong, illegal, or none of that.
None of that.
They saw it. You see, it's, oh no, we can't let them get started. So they wound up with, I have a listing of 41 cities. You have 41 cities, towns that was burned to the ground, some even underwater, that they burned the town down and flooded, all kinds of crazy stuff, you see. And I also agree with you on this thing about Trump. Trump, see, the MAGA folks want you to believe, want you to think, rather, that they believe everything Trump says, which is a lie. They don't. Trump is exactly what they need in order to express those values that they've always held. You see, they've always held these values. Trump just allows them to express them.
Right. He's their outlet.
Yeah, he's their outlet.
He's wild and crazy enough to say stuff that they want to pretend they don't say, or that's not how they feel. But he's just wild enough that he doesn't care what you think or feel. He just comes right out with it. But that puts us on notice of what to look for. That's right. You are absolutely right. He is He tried to tell everybody, but they didn't listen. And so what we're living now, those of us who don't deserve it even, is because they didn't pay attention.
But check this
They
out.
told you what he was going to do to you, and you still voted for him like an idiot.
Check this out. If I may jump in. Sorry I got on a little late. I was coming from church. But let me tell you a little secret. That J.D. Vance is worse than Trump. Trust me,
no, that ain't no secret.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, he's worse than Trump. And the game plan is for Trump to expire whatever he's going to do, and they want to get him in place, and they want to run this country. But guess what? It's like the cat you found on the side of the road. You can't give me milk and bring me back and then say, now you got to drink water. It don't work like that. You know, the year of us turning our backs and walking away, that's done. That's over with. We are too smart, too talented, and we know what we need to do. And I'm telling you, in my viewpoint, we were better when we were segregated because we had communities that kept us together. Not what we got today. I don't even know who all my neighbors are anymore, and that's a shame. That's a shame.
That's real tough.
But that's the game plan. The game plan is to keep them separated because when they come together, they do things. This country was built on our ancestors' backs. Period. And you can run that to the ground. You can try to take it out of critical race theory. It don't work or whatever. But at the end of the day, blood plasma came from a black person. COVID, a black person. We are still doing outstanding things, and they are afraid of that. They know that they're going to be the minority. How can you kick immigrants out of the country of color and then turn around and bring white immigrants over here? Come on, give me a break. I'm done. Get off my soapbox.
Don't worry about it. I'm going to get you back up there. Come on, Sister Charlotte. I'm going to say something, brother. I'm going to get you fired up.
Yeah.
Oh, you muted. You muted, sister. There you go. Oh, no. Let me ask. Did that work? All right. It looked like you might have froze, so we'll come back to you. But are you back?
I'm here.
There you go. I hear you now.
Okay. I was just going to say that the greatest fear of white folks is us black and brown folks, because they know that whatever the conditions are, we have proven what we will come back with, what we will do, and that we will survive it. We'll figure out a way to make a way. And with me, with God, a way will be made, and he gives us the strength and the intuitiveness to figure out how to survive a situation. Few of us may get hurt in the process, but we learn, and that's what white folks are scared of, that they'll figure out that we can figure out how to do them in or to get what's ours, and they don't want it.
Yeah. No, that's the truth.
I would say one thing, Freddie, and this.
Go ahead, good brother.
Enough, when we talk about white and black, enough white folks now are realizing that they're going to be on the short end of the stick as well. Mm-hmm. So I ain't counting, like Malcolm said, Muhammad Ali said, just close the door on all of them. No, we got to leave the door open. Those who see and understand will come forth. Those who don't, afraid, they'll stay back. But we have to come together because even though 47% of Latino men voted for Trump, you can't tell me that they don't regret their mistake. Now, they see that, you see? So at some point they're going to say, no, we got to get this thing together.
I got a counter thought for you on that with the Latino vote, because I started leaning into that question too. I'm like, oh, y'all the F around. Right. Now you in to find out, right? Right. And people were coming to the post. Get this. I don't know if this is a thing. Y'all repeat this.
Right.
They said, no, the folks that voted for Trump, the Latinos that voted for Trump, not all of them, but a good majority of them don't care. They knew what They didn't agree with illegal immigration. They feel like they came in the country the right way, and everybody they coming in taking their jobs. Like they done bought into the narrative. The Latinos bought into the narrative. So it's like they don't see themselves as a group. But y'all know what it is. It's them Latinos that think they somebody else.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's the
I had the opportunity to be in Houston. I was at a friend's house.
I'm gonna let you finish, Brother Jay. Go ahead, good brother.
Okay. And a Latino guy was putting up the TV, and I turned to ask him the question. I said, "Why did so many Latinos vote for Trump?" He said, "Well, Biden didn't do our dreamer thing that we thought he's going to do." I said, "You think Trump's going to do that for you?" "Oh yeah, he's gonna run the people that shouldn't be here out of here." I'm like, "You are those people that he don't want here. He don't care if you're a good one or a bad one. You're not supposed to be here, period." Because like the first thing he said is, "You're taking the black people's jobs." I didn't know we had jobs. I didn't know we were labeled to only certain jobs we were allowed to do and couldn't do, because we can do anything. Anything. Look at football. Remember we couldn't play certain positions in football? Look at the NFC East, all black starting quarterbacks. We can do anything. Look at race car. We don't have a lot in there, but we do that. So we are a resilient people, period. Our ancestors, when they gave us trash, they took hog chillings and made a delicatessen. Now people are eating hog chicken. They won't even eat the chicken wings. Now you can't even buy a chicken wing hardly without paying more than what you probably get a breast for. They wouldn't even eat none of that, because we take trash and we turn it to gold. That's just what we do, because we are a resilient people. And trust me, we're gonna come together. We're gonna get through this thing right here. And he's afraid. The thing he did yesterday, this is what people don't understand. I'm a 30-year military man. Those people that he's messing with right now, they got what they call it, ideology that they will die for their cause. Right. They will. They don't care. And you can bet that this ain't over. Trust me when I say that.
You don't go to war with folks that's been in 1,000-year altercations.
All day
you can't even fathom.
Right.
You can't even fathom 1,000 years, and they bought it, right?
Right.
Hey man,
yeah.
that was a bit much.
And I knew he was gonna make that move. I told a friend of mine, he said, give him a couple. I said, everything he said, give him some time more, it's getting ready to happen. Just check him out. Just everything he said he's gonna let work and get back to later. A couple of days later, it happens. It happens. That's just the way it is. And I'm gonna shut up after this. A lot of people say Trump is not a politician. Trump is a politician, trust me. He's just their voice, because they say, oh, it's just Trump, whatever. I don't even like calling him Trump. Excuse me. I call him 47. I call him 47 because he is not and I'll say that again, he is not my commander-in-chief. My commander-in-chief don't do the things that he did. I gave 30 years of my life that I would die for this country. And I turn around now and say, why? Why? It's crazy. But through the grace of God, we're going to get through this. Trust me. We're going to get through it.
Yeah, I might have to do a follow-up with you, good brother. Yeah, because I'm sorry, Brother Jay, I'm coming back to you.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, listening to you talk, and the military folks on here know, it's like military people think differently. So I think it would be a good conversation for us to have. I don't know. I got some thoughts, good brother. So
hey, I'm gonna tell you a little thing I did about military. My church that I did too. We got this thing that we call Men's Week. We just had it in June. We called it Military Stories Untold. Man, that thing went crazy. I'm telling you, you would be surprised. Or some of the things that you learned about racism back in the early days. That different branches of the service. These guys were from different branches, but our stories were the same.
Yeah.
It was just deep. It was deep.
We dealing with that same right?
And that's what we dealing with right now. We coming from different. What they trying to do? They're trying to take out the middle class. There's no such thing. When you go overseas, you see rich and poor. You don't see no middle class, and that's what they're trying to do here. They don't want a middle class, because guess what? The middle class was in the United States federal government. That's why they're trying to shut it down. That's why they shut. But we won't get on that subject. But me and you
not yet. It's still early. Still early. But all right, Brother Jake, try to what you got? You got something written down? We everywhere since then.
I got notes everywhere, but basically, I don't want to take too much more time. But the thing we got to remember of who we are and what we represent on this planet, in this hemisphere, in this diaspora. When people start coming together, Africa, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, perfect examples now. You see, the thing you got to realize is what's happening right now, where they drop those bombs in Iran. This is not the first time that they've done this.
You're right.
I don't know if you remember Prime Minister Mossadegh, who came in, kicked the British out, took over their oil reserves and all of this. They start planning right away how to get rid of him, how to throw him out. And they did that. They were successful at it. And then once the people said, well, wait a minute, we once had nationalized oil reserves, everybody benefited from it. Now they got these people coming from all over, you know. So this is not the first rodeo. They've done this before, you see, and for the same reasons, you see. So I think unless we stick to that ideology, understand that when we come together like this and say, no, we don't need you, we don't want this, we don't want that, this is going to be for our people. And that's what these three countries so far represent to us. We just have to build upon it, okay, and do the things that we need to do. And again, more and more times, you hear people from what they call the Middle East or whatever, referencing folks like Malcolm.
Yep.
I mean, you hear them referencing. Why? Because an ideology has gone long before them, and they're saying that, dang, this is what we should have been doing all along, you see. So this thing is just getting started, y'all. So fasten your seatbelt.
Yeah, it's gonna happen fast.
Okay, I'm gonna stop.
All right.
Love to all. Hey, and brother, I got 28. I didn't make it to 30, but I got 28.
Hey, thank you for your service, my brother. I appreciate you.
Same to you, my brother.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. It ain't gonna stop. Brother David, come on in. Then I got Sister Jean next. What say you, young man?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Peace to everyone. I'm really listening because everyone is like, seem like kind of a freestyle Sunday dinner, but it's a lot of great points being made, a lot of insight. The brother who had talked about the notion that we freed ourselves, I'm like you. I was wondering where he was going with that. I did hear of that story. Being in Texas, that story is known here. But I had in my mind the fact that when you put those guns in the hands of freed slaves, they had a lot to fight for, and that's what turned that war. Was put the guns in those black men in the hands of those black men. I also recall the hell that the Sonos gave and when he was a general. He literally just Florida. He said, "Look, we'll just claim victory. We the ones who own the press, so we can write whatever story we want to write."
Oh man!
So he literally got ran up out of there, out of Seminoles, and just claimed victory. You know, so no, we did fight and won our freedom. It's just not recorded as such. As far as that great compromise, I wanted to also point out that in 1877, this is where spirituality come in, is when they did that great compromise and you know broke their word to the group who saved the Union. That's when in our history, in the Nation of Islam history, we love to point out that that's when Master Farmer Muhammad was born. We love to point out that because of their treachery, that's what really sealed their fate, because before that, Thomas Jefferson had stated when they decided to keep um, the institution of slavery going. It was Thomas Jefferson that pointed out that, you know, it was one of the grievances the colonies used to break away from the British Crown, was the fact that the British Crown was forcing this peculiar institution on the colonies. So the point he was making, how are we going to go from using it as a grievance to we're going to keep it? And then he pointed out to them, and Abraham Lincoln said the same thing. Pointed out to them that the quote is, "I tremble for my nation when I'm gonna kind of paraphrase, but you can Google it and you'll see it for yourself. But it's, I tremble for my nation when I consider that God is a just God and his justice can't sleep forever." He knew what was coming to America for that. The thing for me is that, you know, we know that we're God's people because God in all the scriptures is always with the oppressed. Now, folks ask, why did we have to suffer? That's another discussion. But God is always with the oppressed, and he don't change. So, of course, we would have a very similar story. No level of oppression, and this is not some oppression Olympics, but no level of oppression matches what we've gone through, and we were not supposed to be here. They thought they'd have killed us off a long time ago, but you can't kill God. And so, you know, I think about that when that great compromise was brought up. Also think about the fact that the reason why we built all those cities and towns were because we did all the work. We had all the skills. And upon being so-called emancipated, they knew this, and they let in this influx of European immigrants to replace us as the labor, because that was too dangerous, us being able to build the way we were building. We didn't need them. We didn't need to integrate at all. What we needed to was for them to leave us the hell alone. That's what we needed.
Right.
And
leave us alone.
Just leave us alone. But they can't, because of fear. See, because they know what they would do if the roles were reversed. The moment they got free, they'd be on it.
Yes.
And so that's a great fear.
Well, somebody gave us the young kids version. It's up.
Yeah, it's up, right? It's up and it's stuck. Don't forget that part. And it's stuck. So they knew what they would do.
Yes, for real.
And they knew what they would do. So that's why they gotta keep their thumb on it. They gotta keep tabs on it. But they don't realize that their blessings. See, they think, and Ted Cruz got in trouble for this, but Tucker Carlson, they actually believe that blessing that Israel over there is the real blessing.
Right.
No, you're supposed to make good on what happened to your own slaves here, and you keep trying to annihilate. You give them laws, and then you criminalize their blackness. Then you give them civil rights, and then you give them COINTELPRO to go right along with it. And you institute mass incarceration, and have our political party be the party to push it. That's why we can't, you know, I get it. Trump is Trump, but Trump is America's karma, the judgment, in my humble opinion. He's everything they said Obama was, right? They said Obama was just an empty suit celebrity, right? Who didn't understand politics. They try to paint him as someone who just didn't have it all, but guess what? That's what you got in Trump. And now he's out here he's out here being Biff from Back to the Future. Remember Biff from Back to the Future?
Oh snap! Not a Biff reference.
Hey, he got a hold of that book, became rich, and ruined the world. And he looked just like the character. I used to joke when Trump first got elected. I said, man, Biff. This is Biff from Back to the Future. You know, but anyway, man, yeah. So the last thing I wanted to point out is that just keeping with that line of thought on the jobs, for some reason, and we do this now, when you see all these people faking online talking about, they six figures and everyone rich online, this, that, and the third, faking the fun, because the idea of being a plumber is just not even thought of anymore in our community. Mechanics, I hate when I go to a mechanic, whether I'm using getting a mechanic for my 18-wheeler or for my car, there's no one that looks like us. We don't do the work. We're not the electrician. We don't do these trades anymore. When at one point we did all the trades. At one point, when you go around the neighborhoods, it was us that had those lawn services. You don't see none of us doing that no more. So yeah, we did have these so-called black jobs. I'm gonna play on it a little bit. We did all of that stuff, but we're too good for it now and got nothing and stuck, been stagnant for 20 years, economically and population-wise. So, I do believe that Trump has quickened us, and hopefully, we continue on this resurrection. Well, we will continue on this resurrection path that we're on, because we are waking up. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's this is really biblical. This is really scriptures. If you get past the distaste that a lot of fake preachers and pastors and imams and fake rabbis, that bad taste they put in our mouth, and so now we don't really read scriptures to kind of see these patterns. It's the same pattern, and if you go back and watch any Savior's Day from the minister, especially the last 5 Savior's Day, man, he said this already. He told you exactly how this was going to play out, and you're watching it play out. So, yeah, I'll end right there, and I'll be listening.
Yeah, and right there, but I'm gonna pull you back in, brother. Just like Brother Keith, he'd say he is just gonna slide back and I'm done talking, but I know how to start mess, y'all. But it was a good conversation. It was interesting stuff, and I wanna let me lean in. Maybe David, maybe you might want to come back and chime in on this. But that Israel, right, that he's talking about in the scripture. See, look, man, first of all, y'all, normally I don't allow religious conversation in this space. I gotta be honest, because it tends to lead to more divergence than anything, right? Like we get to arguing over stuff. But I'll say this the right room. Y'all are good. Y'all, yeah, to me, this is my thing, right? You got to remember that anything that transpire here, like at some point, like I'm attached to it, right? So I don't like things that keep us apart. I like things that bring us together. But y'all are some of the best conversationalists around religion, spirituality, and faith that I've been in. So I feel like the referee. I'll allow Brother David been taking advantage. No, I ain't gonna say taking advantage. I know he know, because Brother David been around for a long time, y'all. And really was behind the scenes on everything that we're doing. But so he know it's like big when like I'm cool with the religious conversation. Y'all are good. I appreciate you. Let me say that. That's really what I'm getting at. I'm always doing the long and fun-loving route, taking that route. But I appreciate y'all, man. These discussions, y'all, when y'all bring in the stuff, I think it is timely. I think it is poignant. I think it's insightful. I think it's respectful of people who might have other views, right? It's been good. It's been good. Let's keep that energy going. And with that, Sister Jean, I'm coming to you. But Brother David mentioned Israel and talked about who was on Tucker Carlson? I missed it. I watched it, but Ted Cruz, right? And he's talking about biblically, the Bible says that we should support Israel. And Tucker Carlson asked him, do you think that what was mentioned in, and of course he asked him, what book was it in? What verse? And dude had no idea, right? Tucker did though. So he, Genesis, like y'all get me wrong. I ain't gonna argue over the Bible now. I don't know. But he mentioned it, right? And he said, do you think that verse is talking about this Israel? Like, do you think that this politicized Israel government that's making these actions, that's doing these things on account of the quote unquote people, do you think like that's what he, and Tucker, of course, is, I mean, Cruz is like, basically, yeah. So I said all of that to be long-winded about what does Israel mean? What does it even mean? Why was it brought up in the first place? Just trying to get my screen right. Yeah, that's one, you should think about that. If you're trying to tie the two, is that area that's called or using that name or that moniker, Israel, is that it, right? Or is Israel is for Isis, Ra for the Father God, and El for Elohim, the deity? Is that your Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? Is that what the reference is? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Turns out that like the term, the phrase, the meaning, I gotta go back. What's the study of language? Etymology. The etymology goes back before any of this stuff, right? So is that not important anymore? Like, are we just believing what we're being told, or are we thinking? And y'all see me a lot. I wear a shirt that says think, and inside of it got like some chess pieces. I'm a chess player. I like the game, but think. I'm always like, why don't we think? And when we comes around religion, typically we not thinking. We're doing the faith thing, we're believing, but I don't. This is just me. I don't believe that God, the deity, the creator, the universe, the whatever, however you want to frame it, is against thinking, is against science, is against facts. Whomever created all of this created it on a scientific level. Everything works perfectly. Like, it's incredible. It's really incredible. It's really incredible. It's incredible from the point, if you zoom out and you look at the universe and like the universes and everything that's out there, if you zoom in and go into cells and go deeper on a deeper level, even further down, you see more and more beautiful patterns. So whether you zoom in or out, the patterns are incredible and they all work together perfectly. So I don't believe that there's any way that thought or thinking or questioning or science would ever contradict Israel. That's my opinion. What's yours? Come on into the conversation. That's why we're here Sunday dinner, to have these discussions at the virtual table, to say the things that may be thought, maybe concern, maybe questions, and have an engagement about them, right? So I'm definitely part of the crew that's in the basement with the cousins that's down there talking about something different, that read something that's outside of the mainstream. I'm in that circle, which is why if y'all were on the Juneteenth joint, I see I got my hands up, I'm coming to y'all. If you was on the Juneteenth summit, right, the Black History panel, and you were there for the Dr. Aiden conversations, that's why I wasn't only asking the question. I was asking the question. I understood the follow-up questions that was gonna be, because somebody was in the comments, oh, that was easily debunked. You could have did this. Now, I know I was in the interview. I know Dr. Aiden about to lay into all of this. I'm just like, sometimes you just got to slow down and listen and let people build a case, right? But I love the brother because he come with the facts. Researchable, referenceable information. Like, that's different from the things that I spent 20, 30 years in the YouTube rabbit hole, listening and learning to the scholars. No diss to the scholars, but it's just always different. And like, so when he started to break down, the claim of us being indigenous to this land, it wasn't from an emotional standpoint. So I know the emotional responses because I had them. The first time I had this conversation with him, I was like, I don't even want to believe that. Right? Like I think that was, it was like a visceral response, was like my first response, like, nah, that can't be right. But then when he keep going with all them layers of information to break it down, the mosquito, breaking down malaria for us, like it's a really interesting dynamic. But I enjoy the growth and the learning and the thinking, right? I think all of that is important. Anyway, come on, Sister Jean, jump in here somewhere. Wherever you want to go. We out here. If I'm freestyle, I'm just be freestyle. I need you to unmute. There you go.
They're coming to pick up the car tomorrow. Do you need that extra tire?
What
What
tire?
do you call the donut tire? Do you have a donut tire for your
I
car?
have no idea, but it probably won't fit. Size of my car and the size of that one? Okay, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. Everything different.
I love it. We out here in life now. Okay, all right, no, come on, sister, come on back on. You gotta unmute. Uh-oh, did I mute you back? There you go.
I want to tell you about my experience of past 3 days.
Okay.
I think it was probably 3 days ago. I was sitting on my porch and the road in front of me. The road in front of me, a car turned around and came back, was headed that, and it stopped. The guy got out and I'm saying, are you one of my relatives? And he kind of looked a little familiar until he got out and I realized he wasn't. Then he started talking to me. He was so excited. He was meeting Gene Evans more. He saw me on that, whatever that thing was, the political thing. He saw me that. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He is from Mount Hope. I went to school with his mother, and whatever. So he starts telling me about these plans that he and the guys have. These people were young kids years ago. They're younger than I. And they were talking about what they were going to do when they came back to Mount Hope. Because Mount Hope is pretty much kind of flat now. Anyway, so we were talking about that because my plan was to just kind of fill out my form today about the business and say, I'm closing. And before this guy, well, he said, I need to talk to you. We need to talk. I said, okay, well, how long are you going to be around? A couple of days. Okay, so fine. Turns out it was yesterday that I saw the note on the door that said, give him a call. He came over, sat in the chair right here and started talking. As I say, this person changed my life. I felt like I had come alive just from what he was saying about what you have to do and sticking with it and blah, blah, blah. He says, we're going to do this. You can be with us. That'll be good. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. But anyway, we went through that and there's a lot of stuff up in his head, okay? And he's a military veteran also. There was a meeting yesterday about HR 1. As you know, I live in West Virginia. There are very few Black folks here. I think there were 4. One was one of the speakers. One was someone who has a problem with the medical because of health. And then this guy and I, Carolyn's son, and I made up 4 Black people. And everybody else was white. And it wasn't a big group by any means. But anyway, they've talked about what's going on and the problems and blah, 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 blah. And he's a note taker. So he had pages of notes in his notebook where he'd written comments when people were commenting about things. He'd written responses to those comments. Okay, so when all that got through and time for just people just to ask questions or make the comments, he started. And he, again, was dealing with the numbers. How many people are the poor people here in West Virginia? And of course, it's a majority. And of course, they are white. And blah, 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 and on there. And then he said, you know, you don't have a political problem. You have a people problem. How many of you are talking about it's them and it's really you? That I knew when you started getting treated like Black folks, when Trump started treating you like Black folks, you had a possibility of getting it. You don't need somebody else to do all this, blah, blah, blah. You need to acknowledge what has happened, what you have not learned, and what you've been doing all your life. A mouth dropped open, and I've been the one Black person around a lot of white folks only for years. So it's not unfamiliar to me, but I have never seen mouths drop open like that, and eyes like, you know, I guess a deer in headlights or something like that. But this probably went for, had his details there, had his numbers there. This was not just an opinion, just probably what's out of his head. And he said, you got to do it. You have to do something. But again, you are being treated like Black people. Now maybe you understand what is going on. I asked a question later because they were talking about we and us. I said, okay. I said, I've been in a number of meetings. They also, you often hear about us getting together. We need to do this and we need to do that. I said, okay, who are the leaders? Who are the ones that are going to do it? They were quiet. They were quiet for a long time. I said, because you're talking about it, but as far as I'm aware, if you're going to do something, there has to be a leader. So who's going to take that up? It took a little while, but two of the women finally said, okay, you and I will do this. I told the guy about this meeting when he was here because he didn't know anything about it. He lives in Virginia. Whatever is going to happen, said, because I know he would speak up. I said, I really need to hear you speak up because most people won't. But he spoke up and said things to them. And he talked about, people would ask him where he's from. He's from West Virginia and blah, blah, blah. He'll tell him I'm from West Virginia. And then, you know, where the KKK started, you know, that's you guys. That's your relatives. That's what you're connected with. You have to do something about it, not expecting somebody else to come save you and pull you out of it. So one of the things that I know happened, I know people got a shock yesterday. Fine with me. Fine with me. That's it. That's it. But as I said, he changed my life. So now I'm figuring out, I was shocked. I got to get online and get all my documentation in order. I don't have a lot of time to do that because I think I've given up on that idea of selling the building. And it's like, okay, if there's going to be a fight, I want to be part of it. That's basically what it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing. We definitely appreciate it. Charlotte, I think I got you next. Yes, ma'am. Wait. You need to unmute.
I think it did. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I want to ask Sister Jean. Apparently, I missed something.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I did that. I muted you. There you go.
I heard a lot of good commentary from you, but I'm not sure what it is that you were supposed to be doing. I never heard that, and I did blank out a couple of times. But what is it that you and the other lady were going to do? I kind of want to
No,
understand.
no. First of all, it wasn't me and the other lady that's doing anything. It's somebody else.
Okay.
There was a meeting yesterday put on by a local organization out of Charleston, CAG. It's been around about 20 years or so.
Okay.
And the Poor People's Campaign of West Virginia. Okay. And it was about HR 1. The idea is to get people to call in and give your opinion, basically asking them not to support this bill, the thing that's going to be bigger than anything else in the U.S.
Oh,
So
the
that's
big
what this
beautiful
was
bill.
all about. Because yes. So that's what the meeting was about. Any more questions?
No, thank you. I just didn't quite
Yeah.
understand where you were going. It sounded like, okay, you realize that you got to take action. And I'm an advocate here over in DC with Fair Budget Coalition and trying to save my brothers and sisters, the black and brown over here, who are having our mayor and city council are allowing us to hemorrhage our human rights. And it's just, I wanted to be sure I was connecting and understanding where you were going. And
I appreciate that.
applaud you for your action. And I too am a senior, and it's too often we don't have quite enough of us speaking up, and a lot of our young people don't understand what to speak up about, or it hasn't even dawned on them yet that it's the us that's keeping them afloat, because
A lot of them don't recognize who they are, basically.
Right. They don't know what they need to be doing.
They don't quite know who they are.
At all. So thank you for being active. Now, I had another point I was going to make, but I got really wrapped up and interested in what you were saying, and I done plain old forgot what else there was. See, my memory is bad, and I didn't write it down, but that's okay because...
No, it's not that your memory is bad. It's just that you've been around so long, so that new stuff hasn't gotten itself compressed into your brain yet.
Well, I'm glad you diagnosed it, because I've really been confused. But in the interim, it did kind of float back to me. In service, again, I regress to what we talked about or heard in service this morning with Pastor Wesley, is that someone asked, why Israel a minute ago? And Israel is because that was the promised land. That's the land that God promises people and delivering them out of bondage in Egypt. And we have people now who want to say, well, what Trump is doing is kind of okay. It's not so bad. Why? The deity has parted the Red Sea. You've gotten by, you didn't drown. Why the hell would you want to go back? So why do we want to go back? We have to stand our ground and refuse to go backwards with the nonsense that this clown is trying to take us to. So
it's frozen.
Yeah, okay. I was like, did mine?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was me. All right. No. So when she comes back, we'll let her back in. Yeah. So I guess
you're going to have to fight to maintain it. So you have to know what your mission is and have a plan for holding on to it. And that's what I wanted to say. And the 3 words that God gave us was what God said. Those 3 words in his teachings and in his preaching and to us. He said that when his son went to the cross, he cleared us of everything. That gave us freedom from death, sickness, other kinds of sins that we could come up with or not come up with, but that we were free indeed. And indeed translates to totally, all about, nothing excluded. And we have to realize that we can achieve the same benefit from that lesson, that teaching of us fighting, standing our ground, having faith, because like you said, this ain't over yet. And he has not, whatever name you want to call him by, he has not had his final say. And all of this is his. None of this belongs to us. And you ain't going nowhere carrying none of it with you. The best you can get out of it is, if you believe in salvation, is that yours is intact when you close your eyes and draw that last breath, for whatever reason and in whatever manner. So I think that We just need to have faith in whatever we believe and practice. Hold on to our strength and refuse to be pushed back. And you've gone through those doors of no return. That line has been drawn in the sand. We've been through all that bull Connor and all that crazy crap. We ain't going back to it. Don't look back. You've stepped over that line. Let's keep marching forward. And whatever we have to do, you got to have a reason for living, or ain't no need of being alive. You got to believe in something enough to fight for it, stand for it. And we've been beaten, enslaved, treated badly, misfed, and just, we don't need to take that crap no more. We just need this. Whatever you bring up, come on with it, bring it. If Goliath slew a giant with a slingshot and stones, guess what? We can do a hell of a lot more with what we've gotten there, and we are not a stupid people. We have a brain. And like I said earlier, the biggest threat to white people is us, because they know we'll figure it out. I'm done.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's dope because, again, we ain't even looking for revenge. Just leave us alone. We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. All right, Brother David. Hey, before Brother David comes on, I see we got a lot more new people in here. A lot of people in here. Give me a 1 or 2. Give me a 1 if this is your first time to Sunday dinner. Give me a 2 if you've been here before. We just got a lot of people since I asked that. All right, Brother David, my bad. Go ahead, good brother. And where you watching from? Oh, I'm sorry. So 1, Chicago, 2, LA, whatever the case may be. All right, brother, for real this time.
Is it possible to come back to me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No problem. All right, yeah, no, welcome to Sunday dinner, right? If y'all are new to the space, right, as we an hour and 43 minutes into the discussion, into the meal, I give you another welcome. But no, it's a lot of y'all have slipped in here on me. I noticed the numbers climbing. I didn't see them climbing like that. But thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to the engagement. We are post Juneteenth conversation. Sunday dinner is pretty open mic discussion, right? Like, everyone is welcome to unmute and join the conversation. I am Freddie Taylor. I'm your agitator. I'm your conversationalist today. But I like to have these discussions amongst our community, ask some of the questions that we need to talk about. It's a lot of stuff on our minds, so we crafted this space to engage in that. I'm just reading up. All right, a lot of 1s, got some my 2s out here. I appreciate y'all. All right, so if you've been here before, then you already know Sundays are about participation, right? You'll come to our events. You might have been to our Juneteenth event, our Black History Summit. But Sundays are about participation. Sundays are about you engaging in this conversation. And I know you ain't heard nothing that ain't stirred your soul a little bit. Somebody agitated you a little bit. Somebody inspired you a touch, right? So I want to encourage you to raise your hand and say something. Your grandma in the back, she good. She acting like she ain't listening, but she listening. Y'all remember how grandma was, right? Or is. Hopefully grandma is still around. Hopefully you grandma, maybe you grandma or papa as well, right? In the community. But we need to have these discussions, and this is definitely a open mic situation. So let me do a better job of agitating somebody's spirit to get on this discussion. No, I kid. I'm looking for one of my questions. Where's the disconnect? That's a better question. Where's the disconnect in the messaging around, I'll bring it back to Juneteenth. What are we missing? Yeah. Is there an opportunity for something bigger? Are we wasting our time even talking about it? I saw somebody today say one day. Like, why one day? Why would we just celebrate one day? What if we extended this thing What if we kept the conversation going? What if all of that interest and energy around that day, around those activities, what if they kept going throughout the year? And I know like we've talked about it a lot, but again, I think Trump creates an opportunity for us to use this as a catalyst to keep these conversations going on indefinitely. Because obviously we need a lesson in community, right? We need a lesson in, we need to elevate the movement. How about that? Maybe that's the conversation. Because it's been great. Like y'all see the Latino community, you know, I saw like the Asian community, you see people talking about and saying, oh, where the black folks at? Why ain't y'all at the rallies? Why ain't y'all at this? And why ain't y'all at that? And then somebody alluded to it. I think David alluded to it, where you will see in quote unquote the Middle East, or other parts of the world, people quoting Malcolm or Martin or something like that, right? Like it's like we're the veterans in resistance, right? We're the veterans in this whole marching and political movement and moving the people moving the machine. And they're looking for us, right? So, but what if we turn that into like a more inward movement, like a more inward development, like the Universal Negro Improvement Association? Today, Negroes will rather debate Garvey's relevance than to improve his movement, right? What if we took all of that negative energy that we use to dissect and tear down somebody else's vision or dream, and we actually like built something together and like just did it though, in the spirit of Reconstruction, right? In the spirit of the Renaissance, in the spirit of I caught myself there. I was trying to go back deeper, and I'm like, in the spirit of the Kemetic Empire, right? Like historically, in the spirit of the Mau Mau, right? In the spirit of the Malayan Empire, in the spirit of Abraham Traore, right? Like, well, we got like a real life example of what unity and turning inward with your movement can do for the community. Like, what if we took these moments, right? We got Juneteenth, you know, we got what else we got? MLK Day, right? Ain't a whole lot of others, right? Kwanzaa, right? We got to take all the moments. But what if we took that and turned it into some sort of inward progress? And I think a lot of us believe that we are making progress. But what if it was connected to a lot more people? What if it was a diasporic thing, right? Because even if you want to argue, hey, I get this a lot, and some of y'all might be here, you know, jump on the mic. I'm open. You can get on the mic. I get this FBA conversation, and I'm noticing it picking up like real steam. Foundational Black Americans, you know, we need to isolate who we are and what we are about. Hey, and I'm not neither for nor against it. I just, you know, I find it interesting. It's like another name. I'm becoming old enough now where I've been studying and trying to become conscious in a space for decades now. So I've seen movements come, I've seen movements go, I've read about like now I'm able to see how things ebb and flow over time. So that's an interesting thought and discussion with me. We can go down that rabbit hole if y'all want to tackle that one as well. But let me let Zonda into the discussion before I take us too far. Can you unmute, sister? And y'all quiet in them comments. If you ain't gonna get on the mic, you come on. Y'all got to engage me somewhere. How you doing, Zonda? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm doing okay. It's I think what you said, all of it should be done. Used as a catalyst. It should be we should take that time and maybe not so much March, but start coming together with our plans. But use that as to be undercover about it. And let those days be like the pivotal points of when we putting together something, whether we are organizing uh, a set for to operate in a certain way as far as moving products. That's just an example. Getting essentials and such items like that, and just start building each other, building that relationship, speaking that truth, affirming and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that I had decided within myself to start doing is just affirming us, affirm that we are healed, that we are moving and and living in freedom, affirming that we have everything that we need to build, to make our own system. We have everything that we need to create, that we don't have to depend on anyone else. We have everything here. And I don't have a list of affirmations like what I just expressed, but I'm just saying let's just restart, and as we talk about things that have happened, the things that are going on that are in a negative, that we'll come back with the positive and affirm that, okay, these things are true. However, we are, however, the it will go. And just to get that in our heads, get it in our hearts, get it in our very being of actually living this out and doing it. And that's, I think, all I have to say for right now.
Okay. Well, I like it. Engagement, right? Get out here. Let's not talk about it. Let's be about it. Brother David, where you at? Hey, if y'all are new here, welcome to the Terror Dome, but welcome to the land of get your notepad. You need a notepad to follow along with the discussions because you're going to say something. We're going to take the conversation somewhere else, but we're glad to come back and circle back. So if you're taking notes, you can hang in there and make sure that you say something. Come on the mic and talk to us. Don't be afraid of the community. This your people. You're one of us, right? We like to have these discussions. It's fun. It's engaging. It's nostalgic. Y'all remember Grandma's house and all those crazy cousins. Unless most of y'all probably the crazy cousin. That's what it is. Y'all don't know who the crazy cousin is because it's you. All right, crazy cousins unite. We back. We here together. All right, Brother David, come on in. Brother David definitely one of them cousins, right? He gonna take us through this discussion. Come on, brother, what you got for us?
Well, man, yeah, I am gonna double back.
Yeah, just going to be honest.
And touch on the ISIS Rael that you brought up earlier, because one of my earlier obsessions was pointing out that the original Trinity was father, mother, child.
Yes.
And that's what Isis, Haru, and Asaru represent. But you see that in the Israel, the way you broke it down, that is what that represents. right? Originally. See, we got to deal with the fact that the European take things during this death paradigm, because that's what we live in right now. We live in a death paradigm. And that's why we have so much chaos, lies and murder. That's what the whole paradigm is about with them. So they take things like woke and make it into something else, like Hotep, make it into something else. But this is their thing. They did it with Israel. So again, the original Trinity was Father, Mother, Child, but the European took the woman out of the equation totally because of their misogyny. So it's Father, Son, Holy Spirit. But they got all of this from our ancestors who etched it in stone as if we will forget. So what did the Europeans go over there doing when they did see all of this etched in stones? They went and started blowing the stones up, trying to hide information. This is what they do. They try to hide information. So, but scripturally, Israel means usurper because Jacob stole the identity of his brother. And that's what we see. See, all of these stories, they are telling us, they're giving us the blueprint or the pattern on how these things go. You touched on as above, so below, as within, so without. You could find this same patterns in the universe happening on earth and nature, in us, how we organize our family, all the way down to our cells, all the way down to the atom, getting to the quantum world. It's the same things over and over again. That's why in scriptures it says study nature. You study nature, you can unlock the secrets. So anyway, the original story represents someone who was killed, right? He was killed by his brothers. He was chopped up and spread across the nation. And his wife went and put the body back together again and did enough, I'm just going to say magic for lack of a better term, to be able to pull a seed from a dead man and brought back the first savior. That's what the story of Isis represents. Dr. Naim Akbar, in his book, Egypt, Light of the World, pointed out that that story represented us to a T. We're sacrificed, we're crucified, we're the dead man. Our women, our families went through a period of largely being fatherless, but the woman kept us alive and kept it going until we woke up. And that's what happened. The Savior came back through his son. And so the European got a similar story with the Jesus story, but they changed that up. And then they try to hide the meaning of it. And so with Jesus, you have him being born of Immaculate Conception, but we know the parallels between Mary and Jesus and the Madonna child and Isis and Heru. We see the parallels is clear. But then when you get into scriptures, you find out again that Israel means usurper. They stole the identity of their brother. Well, didn't Kyrie get in trouble for posting that documentary about the Hebrew Israelites who are telling you that we're the real Hebrews, that we're the real children of Israel? See, Israel is a usurper. Israel goes around taking other people's identity, colonizing, taking over things. This is the pattern of the world we live in. So we're called the children of Israel because Israel, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, Israel represents Europeans today in the scriptures. And we're the children of them. We're enslaved to them. We depend totally on them. We're the real children of Israel scripturally. But we also the real Hebrews when you go into the culture itself. So there's a lot in that word Israel that we could spend a lot of time on and go into a lot of different schools of thought. But at the end of the day, we are the We are the manifestation of the scriptures. We are a messianic people. That's why we're still here. We went through those 400 years of slavery. It was in Genesis. It's throughout scriptures. It's throughout all the scriptures. It's all about us, but we have not accepted. We still don't believe that we deserve a God coming for us. That we get so smart that we want to just toss out the truths in these scriptures, no matter how powerful they are. And if you go back to the root of it, then you'll see that before the European tampered with it, this was widely known. They know this. The white elite know this. So what do we do now? Because we went through the 400 years of slavery. Judgment is here. That's why you got all this chaos in the world. What do? We need you tapped in on something that I was going to inbox you about, Brother Freddie, because I had this idea that we need a global Black Congress where you get exactly what you just laid out, right? A diaspora meeting of the minds to come together to plan strategically how to get the resources we need. What we need a new education system because this one doesn't work for us. We need strategic partnerships, security, all of that. And we have plenty of time. We're going to be here. We're going to be here. These other people ain't going to be here. We're going to be here. And we got the time to set this up, and we have the ability, we have the intellect, we have the geniuses, we have the networking. We could really make this happen. But what we need to understand is how this FBA thing fit into that. See, it was just funny how all of this kind of rolled together, because what you see in FBA, what you see, and you touched on it, we veterans in this struggle. And we been so giving. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad say, we love white folks because they give us nothing. No one respects you if you don't respect yourself. You want to, we fought for all these rights, and we watch others come over and benefit from them. And every 4 years, the Democrats run the same game on us. Mm-hmm. And we watch them really, literally punish us for now making demands while we're watching them spend hundreds of billions of dollars on other people, on other groups, who now catching hell and saying, hey, where are you? Where are you guys at? Why are you not protesting with us? This FBA delineation is the result of us watching for the last several cycles and watching how these other groups have played us. It ain't us that have to unite with them. They have to unite with us. We're the vets in this. And we're the ones who fought and struggled and died and did all the things that made it possible for other people to come over here, only to call us lazy when we get here. Are we suffering because we're lazy? It has nothing to do with oppression. There's no more racism. They become a buffer class. That's a hard truth for a lot of us to accept. So that's why there's been this FBA delineation. It ain't just some people want to be divisive. Folk are looking at the politics of it and saying, hey, they still run a game on us. You got to get down with us. We're the vets. We're the one they owe us trillions of dollars. And they keep telling us they don't got the money, but we're watching them shell out hundreds of billions of dollars to others. So that's what you see in the FBA, this FBA movement. And it's actually part of the process, because the more respect you show for yourself, then others have to respect you. Others see now that, you know what, we can't run the same game on them. Others see now that, wait a minute, we ain't doing nothing without the Black people helping this. Democrats ain't winning without Black people, period. And all these other groups, they get their whatever wake-up call eventually. You ain't getting nothing without coming through us. And that's not us being big, bad, and hey, this, that, and the third. That's just the reality of it. We've been in this 4-5 centuries. So yeah, let's unite. I'm all about black and brown unity. I'm all about the global diaspora. But in the 60s, we were Black all over the globe. The first delineation came when people decided they didn't want to be Black. I'm not Black, I'm Nigerian. I'm not Black, I'm Jamaican. I'm not black, I'm this. That started happening right after the civil rights movement. But in the 60s, we were powerful because we were all black all around the country. All around the globe. And we could get back to that because everyone's getting their wake-up call. It's a lot quieter on these, oh, you guys are just lazy. That's why you guys have no culture. It's getting a lot less of that. But if you're not paying attention to it politically, you may have missed it. But there are those of us who are paying attention to this. So what I'm saying right now is it's time to strike. Yeah, we have the networking, we have, and at the end of the day in scriptures, it says, what was the word? Is it desolations? There's this outcry when the judgment happened, when all the war and all this stuff kick off, and everywhere the prophet looked, he just saw destruction. But we're told we're going to be here to rebuild after the destruction. So it's now's the time to make these partnerships with a global Black Congress, have these meetings, have these discussions. The spirit is already moving through. And it takes people with conviction and courage and the knowledge who actually know what's going on. A lot of people don't really know what's going on. A lot of people ain't really paying attention. But those who are paying attention, we can't be like the talented 10th that get elitists, get our nose in the air. Look, Booker T. Washington was right. We needed to focus and stay on trade. We got so educated that we bought into integration and sold out 90% of our people just to be close to these people. And what did they do to every wealthy Black person afterwards? Took them down. And we watch it. Every single Black wealthy person they take down. We're not supposed to get close to them. They're dying out. Their paradigm is a dying paradigm. The civilization is falling, and we're watching it. It's time for us to build, time for us to link up globally. Hopefully everybody realized they got their little wake-up call, realize, hey, no, it's not better on the other side. No, you could get treated just like a nigga in a minute. How about you realize that you are original people like us? You're part of our tribe. You're part of the Aboriginal people of the earth. And come on and get some of this planning and let's build. And I think that could be done with the networking that we have so many groups associated with each other right now that it will be easy. I ain't gonna say easy, but it's doable. It's doable. So that's my thoughts on everything that you guys spoke on the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's man, that's good stuff, brother. I want to say so much. I'm gonna try not to though, but I gotta say a couple of things. Now, there's somebody in the comments saying, Israel. I saw somebody talking about, the nation state of Israel starting in 1948. It's actually 1947. But yeah, they just picked that land and then by military force took it based on something out of the Bible. And I see someone saying what Israel means. Apparently there's a number of interpretations, but I would just say that Israel is much older than your Bible. I didn't do it. I didn't etch it in stone like Brother David was talking about. It's like there's a whole thing out there long before the bastardization of the word that's become a nation or a political entity. I saw people saying these are Zionists that are in control of that. Yeah, this is just a nomenclature, right? This is just a name. That's just the name. What I believe that what you speak to when you reference the Bible is something much bigger than that. And Brother David alluded to it, talking about Father, Son, Father, Mother, and the child, right? The Holy Trinity, the family. Different conversation, but again, it's etched in stone. Y'all come to Egypt with us. You can come see it. We can show you. You can just see it. It's not even like hidden. It's interesting though. And then Brother David mentioned something I wanted to come back to. It'll probably come to me. After Brother Keith, let me let this brother. Oh, no, the 1947. 1947. Yeah, yeah. Like you got to just go down a rabbit hole of learning that information and, how they picked this area. And, they just been politically listen, the people in that area, there was a country called Palestine, right? And once upon a time, it's just history, right? And they took it. They just took it. I don't know how else to put it. They just took it. Now you throw this justification for they took it. If I'm a Palestinian, I'm living there, you took it, guess what? It's up forever and always. It ain't never gonna chill out. You just took it. I'm not cool. I'm never gonna be cool with this. And then you just keep expanding it. It's up forever. And it's because you did it. Now, we've been here for thousands of years, and you just come over here and do that because you claim something like it's like they developed it's all those terrorists and this and that. If you invade me for 80 years, it's up, brother. Like I don't understand how we don't understand. Ain't nobody starting no stuff on October 7th of 2024. It's been up since 1947. What is y'all talking about? What are you talking about? Like, it's just ridiculous that we even buy into that narrative, right? It was forced in. They just took it. That was the aggression. Ain't nothing else after that. The only periods of peace are while they was building in the shadows trying to figure out what the hell they about to do about what you done did. And then in order to be a Christian, you gotta support that. You think like that's what your Bible was talking about? I don't know if that was I'm not a theologian. I'm not an expert, but I'm a person that like to think. And if I just think that the deity wouldn't be behind something like that, that don't sound right. That don't sound right. So if it don't sound right, don't feel right, the vibration is off, if everything is wrong, why you think your deity is on something different? My opinion, right? I don't subscribe to all of the thoughts that maybe you do, but a lot of people think differently, right? And have different conversations about these things. But I like it. Ready is my hand slowly raising? Oh, okay. Hey, Al, come on, you can get in here. I'll get your hand up. Let me let Brother Keith in, because I forgot we got him fired up. He was done, but he backfired up, y'all. So come on, brother. Where you at? You scared? You don't got where you at? Jump in here. He must be away for a second. Was that Al?
There we go. I'm muted. My videos. It says I cannot be because you got me disabled. So I don't know what happened, but you can hear me, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah, you don't have to
hear you.
You can hear me. That's all you gotta do is hear me. I'm gonna get in here and get out real quick. Like you said, I came on here, man. I don't know if you remember, Fred, but I was the one brought Brother Samuel Claiborne on about that book about American Psyche, Black and White, and I went through some issues with family, so I kind of got away a little bit, but I'm back, and it feels good to be back. I listened in on the summit the other day, and it kind of like got me going, especially when the brother was talking about the mosquitoes, man. I was like, oh my God,
that crazy?
The mosquitoes, man. I was like, I never would put that together, but it makes sense when you think about it. But real quick, I did type in there, we got to start believing in each other. That's the problem that we don't do as a people. I mean, people can come over to this country and they can get free money, but if we try to go get that money, for some reason, we feel like we're not taking nothing that's not ours. And we have got to come together, because if we come together, we can move in a mass, and a mass crowd can move just as fast as an individual. But when you're in a mass crowd, it's hard to pick out the I guess you could say the as they would call it, the stir-uppers, because that's what they want to do. They want to get you to yourself so they can try to either buy you off or knock you off. That's what they do. You and I both know they've been taking stuff from Black people all our lives, and it ain't gonna change. The only people gonna stop that and make that stop happening is us. But as long as we can have brother that's looking for a dime or a way to get paid. And my man said it best today when I was at church. We always know how to hustle, but the question is, how do you hustle? And what are you hustling? You know, that's the question. What are you hustling? Are you hustling for a better life, or are you hustling for the quick dollar? You know, drug dealing, there's no 401k in drug dealing. You know, you're not going to get in. You're not going to. You're going to do one or two things. You're going to get caught, or you're going to die. It's just that simple. So some of those guys that do hustle, they got mass mind. Just think you run a drug empire. You got a mass mind. You got something going on in your head. What if you turn that to your people and help your people to get the liquor stores out of our neighborhoods? Get all the stuff that they don't want in their neighborhoods out of ours. When they come in there, go to the city council meeting. We go to this. I'm in Virginia Beach, as a matter of fact. Anybody know where I'm located? I'm down in Virginia Beach, military town here. When things going down in the white neighborhoods, oh, they flood the city council. When things come through the black neighborhood, you can hardly get nobody out there. So guess what? They're gonna run the highway through your city. That's just the way it is. I mean, you can look all over the world. People don't even know this. You know, Central Park is built. It was a black town under Central Park in New York, and they praised in Central Park. I think it was called, I can't think of the name, but research that. There was a black town that they shut down when they built Central Park. That's because they just came in and took those people things, because that's what they've done all their lives. They just take, take, take. And somebody asked a question about what can we do? They had a project 2025. Why don't we have a project say we the people come together? And all our little groups that we got out together, NAACP, we have got to stop knocking each other and come together and work together and push it that way. Because as long as they can separate us, they got us. And they know that. They know that. Trust me, they go to sleep at night trying to figure out how they can stop our movement, because we are a resilient people. I cannot say that enough. We are resilient. We worse than a cockroach. You can't get rid of us. We still here. And I'm done. I'm done after that, brother. I'm done. Appreciate the opportunity to form, and man, I'm telling you, just don't know, boy. I'm ready to get up there and tell the world, let's do this.
Yeah, I love it, brother. Thank you, man. We always appreciate you. Hey, and to Sister Lorraine in the comments, I got the microphone, but the floor is open. You can come in and have your say. When I speak, I don't speak as if what I say is the end all be all. That's my opinion. I say it when I make statements. I say some people think like me other than you, right? It's not necessarily I'm right, you're wrong. It's just different types of experiences and belief systems, right? At the end of the day, everybody think they know. Otherwise, you wouldn't stand on that, right? If you didn't, right? So there's just alternative thought out there. And I'm not afraid of somebody that disagrees with me or sees life differently. I'm used to that because I don't think like the majority of quote unquote African Americans. That's not my viewpoint of the deity or, the afterlife or any of that. Like, when I talk about it, it's going to be contrary to what most people believe. So I'm just used to that. And, I don't try to force my belief on anybody. And I think I told y'all during that particular discussion, I don't even think it's important. So that's how I know, like, you ain't gonna never find me telling anybody I'm right, you wrong, you should, you ain't, you don't get it. I mean, it's just a fantastic ride that we're experiencing here in the universe. And I'm on that journey, and I'm enjoying myself, and I continue to try to learn and grow. But I think I grew up in the last couple of decades, and I don't lead with arrogance. Let me say this. I try not to lead with arrogance, right? Like I'm a victim of it, just like y'all. You ain't clean. But now I try to lead with compassion and just understanding and just try to hear where you come from and why, and not necessarily try to tell you that you're wrong or here's where it breaks down or whatever the case may be, but to be like, man, sounds like you're earnest in your growth. Sounds like you're earnest in your being. And I think that disposition on life just creates a lot more open dialogue and friendly conversation, which is what we have here at Sunday dinner, right? So far, right? Right, Charlotte, am I wrong? Right? Sometimes, most of the times, we generally pretty cool. And I know I've been in contentious religious conversations. If you just want to argue and fight over it, I can do it. You know, I got it. I'm skilled. I'm skilled in it. Now I can do more than just agitate conversation. I can agitate your spirit. But that would just activate something that I view as pointless. Right? Like is what's the point? Right? I'd rather just try to figure out where you coming from and maybe why you believed like that, and like, because perhaps I'm missing something. I'm okay with that. I probably am missing most things, right? Right. Even when it comes to this history piece, right? When I asked the question, rate your Black history skills 1 to 10, I rate myself a 5. Right. So I would tell you what I think I know. But if, again, like Dr. Aiden, when the PhD can tell you, you present some different alternative information with researchable facts, he'll gladly change his position. So what I look like saying, nah, y'all still wrong, right? I got a lot to learn. And I'm good with that, right? I think I'm searching is what the folks would say. All right, Sister Charlotte, come on, I got you. I got to you. I'm trying to get back to Keith, make him agitate his spirit. Now you need to unmute.
I'm quick. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No, I just wanted to say, no, you provide us a safe place where we can have those differences of opinions and belief. And that's great, because I think I said one conversation that what I've been taught to believe or think exists is 12 gates to the city, to the kingdom, whatever name you want to call it, and whichever door you want to go in, by whatever you consider yourself to be, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever, Christian, Catholic, whatever. But the main thing is to have a relationship enough that's true and pure that you can get through one of those gates. Because if you can't make it through one of those gates by whatever way you call it, you're going to be in trouble, because that lake of fire, to me, as I understand it, ain't no BS. And it is not to be desired if you're almost smart. So, no, we thank you. I think that I find that all those of us here share that opinion, is that it's a great thing that you've done. And this platform is.
Oh. Oh, I think she froze up on
made us that way. So we have to love and respect each other and share, because that's how we learn. If you've got knowledge and you keep it inside, don't share it, what good is it? It's when we impart to each other and help each other grow. That's the whole process of being your brother's keeper. That's not the whole, that's one process. So we thank you. Yeah, we can come in here and talk about it and disagree and still love each other.
And still love each other. I love that. Yeah. I love the 12 gates, right?
Like yes, 12 gates to the city.
Have to be done just one way.
There's beauty.
There's beauty in the variety.
Yes.
Maria. All right, is this your first time speaking up? I don't recognize that name.
No, it's not my first time. This will be my second time.
Second time, okay.
The first time I spoke about being from Nigeria.
Yes. Okay. Welcome back, sister. All right.
Thank you.
Remember.
As I listened to.
You're Igbo, correct?
Yes, I am.
I remember.
And a proud one at that. Yes. So the first, I have a few things listening to the speakers. I have to acknowledge each one of them, because they bring a whole lot into this salad bowl. Yes. You know, and I did mention, I don't know if I mentioned that we should have a community of a salad bowl, not a melting pot community. And what I mean by that is that we all have to bring something that makes us unique. And we create it into the smorgasbord of a salad. And then hopefully we will have harmony in it so that it will be the salad dressing. And having said it that way, it's always interesting to find out what makes us unique Black people. I happen to be one of those Black people that do not like to be called half of anything. When I walk into the room, what walks into the room is my Blackness. It is not half of anything. I'm not half American. I'm not half Nigerian. I'm fully Nigerian or I'm fully American. But I made the decision that I don't want to be known as an African American because America has not embraced my African race. So because they have not embraced it, I don't want any part of it. I'm glad to sit here and enjoy what America has to offer. But in the back of my mind, I'm constantly thinking about how can I benefit my Black people. That is more important to me than being a half of anything. So I say that because sometimes when people say that Nigerians want to be Nigerians and that's it, because many of us that came from Nigeria, what we see is an America that is not welcoming, but it's an American of opportunity. So we come in here and we get the opportunity, and we then use that opportunity to open doors and open windows and open whatever it is for people that are Black. I don't quite understand what the brown is. I just know what the Black is. So in my mind, I know what Black is because what I hear people say about brown is the Hispanic Americans who, for the longest time, they have never even thought of them as anything but white.
Yes.
And now they have finally come to their senses because the president has decided that they are not worth anything. And now all of a sudden they want to ride the coattail of the Black person who has suffered for years and years and years. So I am not as welcoming as most people feel to welcome and say, come on, let's all fight together. Because they were not there to fight with us when the fight was going on. So that's important for me to keep in mind. As I listen to the story of Israel, the story of Israel just reminds me of the story of America. So when we hear, if we listen to, because I read the book of the Miseducation of the Negro, and one of the things that stuck with me in that book, and it was written long before I even knew how to read English, because English is not my first language, but before I knew to read English, was that they put religion in front of Black people, and they took it hook, line, and sinker, and believed every word of it, except that we have not paid attention to who wrote this Bible. Did they write it with us in mind? Were they thinking about us when they were writing this Bible? And why is everything in the Bible that was not good represented my race? So when we read the Bible, we have to read it with a different set of eyes. The only thing that is good about Black is your bank account.
In the black.
So every other thing is not good. Every other thing is evil. So we hear all of these things, and it's a very uncomfortable place for me to sit through. I came from a part of Nigeria, like I said, I'm Igbo. So we had a civil war. I lived through that civil war. And the rest of the world kept silent. While most of us, I was a recipient of malnutrition. Wow. So when people talk about, Nigerians just want to be Nigerians, I'm thinking in my head, I was in Biafra. I was part of Biafra. And during that time of Biafra, I did not see anybody raise their hand to come and help their people. We suffered. I drank water from gutter so that I will not be thirsty.
Wow.
So when we think about these things, I cannot forget who I am as a person, and I refuse, and I absolutely refuse to apologize to anybody. When I say I refuse to apologize to anybody who has never experienced what it means to be Black. Because my Blackness makes me so unique. I'm perfectly formed, regardless of what a white person has to put in front of me, regardless of what America has to put in front of me. Because when I think of America, America has not included Black people. Black people are just survivors. They survive in spite of what America has done to them. So I don't know how else to express it, but Israel is not in my vernacular. The old Israel is in my vernacular. The new Israel is not. So we can go out there and go and kill up a bunch of innocent people in the face of what Israel wants. But we do have a God that is a living God. He has a way of clapping back to people who do not believe that he exists. So that to me is important, that we never forget. They all want us. When I think about this, and I think about it in a totally different way, I think of it in terms of why do they want to silence the Black person? What is the importance of trying to make a Black person silent? And the only answer I have is so that the stupid white people will have a place of comfort. Because by keeping you silent, you will never show their stupidity, and they are comfortable. So I don't mind us having an African Congress or a Black Congress or whatever it is, but we have to mobilize in such a way that we don't have any in-house bickering. The in-house bickering is the reason why we are so disorganized. We need to put it aside and know that we have a common goal. That common goal is how do we as a people be a force to be reckoned with. Thank you so much for giving me your time.
Thank you, sister. We definitely appreciate you. And great comments, right? Somebody said Sister Lorraine always got the best. Excuse me, Sister Maria always got the best analogies, right? Right. You hit the salad bowl on it. Brother Al been trying to get at this microphone, y'all. Let me say it before I start out on a rant. How I be doing. Al, I think you're unmuted.
Yes, I am.
How you doing, good brother?
I'm doing well, thank you. I am really blessed by all the perspectives that have been shared with us today. It's been very amazing, and I'd like to share my perspective. When it comes to Juneteenth, Black history, I think it is important because our history gives us validation and value for our existence and peace in our being. Now, I would like to propose, if I may, a concept that has come to me several years ago. I don't know exactly how many, and that is a dichotomy. And I hope everybody's following me. This dichotomy is reality versus truth. When I look at life, especially the life of the African brought to America and his evolution in regards to that, it is a horrific story. It is a horrible story. It is a very degrading and demeaning story. And that is real. And I tell people all the time, we don't call reality real because it's make believe. No, it is real. Reality is in our face 24/7, 365. But reality is not truth. And I say that because of my spiritual evolutions that's taken place in me. And that is truth to me comes from the purpose and design of life. That didn't come from man, that came from who I call creator. The problem that I see is one that when man became knowledgeable of good and evil, the realities of the experiences that we have heard testimonies made about is the results of that. And that result is the thing that has created so much division amongst us. Because there is this verse that says, we don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but our responses to reality is to the flesh and blood that's doing it to us. And as long as we keep reacting to this flesh and blood, as much as we say we are trying to eliminate it, we, in a sense, are perpetuating it. One of the people that still stands out to me is Dr. King. He said we must learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or perish together as fools. Reality makes us fight against one another rather than finding what binds us all together. It is our humanness, one of the basic steps in evolution for human beings, is the realization that we are all human beings. Reality has divided us by race, by ethnicity, by culture, by sex, by any way it can. And it has done this historically. And because it's been with us for so long, it is our norm. We divide ourselves like that. When the scripture says, don't be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good, reality trumps that because reality is the pain that you're actually going through caused by these people, this administration, these laws, these rules, and all of these are man made. And the adversary, at least from my spiritual understanding, the God of this world wants us to stay in that vein. And it is so challenging for us as human beings not to respond like that because human beings are empirical. We deal with the concrete, the tangible, that you can see, feel, touch. We're contained in our five senses. The spirituality of life gets us into what's called the metaphysical, where that is seen is not created by that which is seen. You don't see the thoughts that creates the evil. You see the evil that is a result of these thoughts. And this is where my spiritualness comes in. If you ask the average person if they believe in treating other people the way they want to be treated, they will say yes. This is across the board, but the evidence of that is becoming harder and harder to find. And this is what, for me, going back to Dr. King, when the civil rights movement was going strong, there were many competing forces. There was the Muslims, there was the Nation of Islam, there was the Black Panthers, and there was Dr. King, and there was several competing movements that were taking place at that time. But to me, and I say that to me because others may disagree, this nonviolent movement that Dr. King inspired was the reason that we overcame. Because when other people saw what these people were doing to us, then the world began to condemn them. Because in the 60s, when the news media was able to film it this morning and show it this afternoon, the civil rights movement was a big crop across the world. The Edmund Pettus Bridge, that incident went worldwide. America had made everybody think that this was the best place for human beings to exist. But this was shown by the media to be an untruth. And Dr. King, I believe, understood that and used it to his benefit. And if the world has seen us fighting and, being just as evil as the people that we called evil, it would be hard for them to tell who was who. But when they saw the nonviolent movement and they saw the strength and courage of people who were willing to stand courageously and accept that, when the world saw that, they knew who was evil. They knew what was wrong. And it was because of the courage of the people who participated in this movement that we got to the point that we have arrived. The problem is, I used to say, and people of my generation say, we will integrate, but we'll never assimilate. That was something we used to say all the time. But we bought into everything that America represents. Slavery was a product of economics. The scripture says, for the love of money is the foundation for every kind of evil that can come into existence. Slavery was a part of that evil that money produced. When I graduated from high school, America said, Al Campbell, the reason you can't get ahead is because you don't have an education. I was being educated not to improve the status of my life and those like me. I was being educated so that I could get the good job, make the good money, and live the good life. I bought into the very system that had perpetrated so much wrong against me. It took me years to come to that recognition, and it takes courage now to acknowledge that. Because there are a lot of people today who are still living life with the money being the motive of their economic objectives. I have said, and I mentioned, I think one other time when I spoke, my daughter asked me, she said, Daddy, do you think that Christians should be poor? I said, no, baby. If I understand the scriptures, at least what I believe, because I believe that love is the key to the kingdom. And if we represent that love, then Christians will be first in honesty, first in truth, first in trust, first in competency, and first in moral excellence. And as Brother David was saying, if you needed a mechanic, the Christian would be the person you'd want to go to. And because that's the kind of character that we represent. And that's the character that the world needs today. And if I can do anything with the life that I still have in me to live, is to be that light of love and represent that content of character that Dr. King says. And I've heard people talk about that on our stage. And I say, Dr. King says he wants his kids to be judged by the content of their character, not because they're black, not because they're brown, not because they're white, not because they got a PhD, none of those things. He said content of your character. And we kind of mix that up. I'm not knocking education, and I'm not trying to, you know, come at anybody with education, and I'm not trying to convince anybody that what I'm saying is true. I hope that I'm saying this in a way that people will first understand that this is my perspective. The challenge that I have of the dichotomy in life, reality versus truth, that's one that I've had to face. And that's one that still stays with me today. And it's one that guides me in the decisions that I make. Am I acting in love? And if I'm acting in love, and to me, love is not something that I determine for me. And again, love is 1 Corinthians 13 chapter. I don't know how many people know exactly what that is, but that is my guiding principle. Every day that I get up and open my eyes and take my breath, I am so happy because I have the opportunity today to be better at love than I was the day before. I see you yawning, my brother. Am I talking too long?
No, no, no. Somebody yawned in the game. Yeah, you just watch somebody yawn and make you yawn.
But yeah, I've had a lot of time to think about that. And again, looking at Dr. King, and Dr. King said, if a man hasn't found something he believes in so strongly that he's willing to die for, he says, then that man ain't fit to live. If we don't believe in the power of overcoming evil with good, if we don't believe that so strongly, all of our efforts to fight evil with evil will only create the destruction and the pain and suffering for the very people that we say we love the most. So I've got a party. I've got your cards, and I've got them for my grandsons, because I want my grandsons to understand. Look, what makes you you is on the inside. It's what you believe. It is your content of character. It's your value. It's how you treat other people. The outside of you, other people will try to make issues of that. Don't let the outside of you become the issue for you. So I want your cards because, again, I think for Africans brought to this country and their evolution, it is important that we know our history. It is important. We cannot find peace without knowing the history. So I thank you, and I thank you for the time you've given me today. Thank you very much.
No problem, brother, man. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your insight. Folks enjoyed it. In the comments, it's busy. They're definitely supporting your viewpoint, brother, and and your perspective. So we definitely appreciate you. Hey, was this your first time? I don't know, man. I'll be late asking folks. I should leave with that. Or had you been here before? There you go.
Yeah, I've been here. I've been here before, and I've spoken before, saying basically the same things that I gave a testimony about my road to my spiritual belief, where I tried to commit suicide, and I woke up in the hospital and I was cursing every Christian that I'd ever known. And I had this voice speak to me and tell me, quit criticizing, quit condemning, and I needed to be and I needed to do. That was part of my testimony. And discovering love has changed me. It doesn't, again, my heart aches so much about the current conditions of life that I see in human relationships. I thought so much when I was marching and protesting in the 60s that we had solved that problem. Our failure was we made it a Black issue rather than a human issue. And I think we still stand the risk of making that same mistake. Because if we're human beings, then our protesters know human beings should be treated like that, like this. If it's us, if it's anybody, that's the beginning of learning to love your neighbors yourself, that we first realize that we're all human beings. We're now, like the sister said, we're now Black human beings, we're now Mexican human beings. We have these man-made prefaces on our existence rather than we're human beings. And it won't ever change the color of our skin. Don't get me wrong, because that is obvious. The color of our skins will always be there. But the thing that makes us all common is that we're all human beings, and that should always be our battle cry.
Okay.
So thanks again.
I can dig it, brother. I can dig it. Yeah, definitely. We are definitely one people, right? Around the world. I don't know, I can dig it, brother. I can dig it. I just, but I think you're coming from the spirit of, I can't remember who it was, who started the movement with making this a human rights issue internationally, right? Where the protests were happening, they killing us. We shouldn't be killing Americans, like that conversation. Then it was like, okay, let's make this a global issue, a human rights thing, where the rest of the world got to see what America is doing behind the curtain. Uh-oh, there I go. It sounded like you got a communist country, right? Behind the curtain. But that's what they was doing, right? They was projecting one image to the world, and they're doing something totally different. What's wild now is we're in this social media age, and the world see what they doing now. Because make no mistakes, Black folks. ICE is doing this thing. They still doing in your communities what they've been doing. Ain't nothing changed, right? And I think most of y'all are, cognizant enough to be aware of that, because that's a different arm of the apparatus. right? Because the policing, the laws, the jurisdiction, the lawyers, the judges, the probation department, all of the business that's attached to all of that criminal activity and that over policing in your community, none of that ain't never stopped. That's still going on. The camera's just focused over there right now because it's a better story for better ratings and all of that. But in your community, you still getting the shits. I think Will Smith is credited with saying nothing has changed, it's just being filmed now. Right? But we all know ain't nothing ever changed. Rodney King was happening before Rodney King was filmed. It's still happening. It's filmed now. They do it on camera now. Ain't nothing changed. Interesting, right? So I wanted to jump into let's see where. No, the world ain't cupcakes and Ringo. Who came from? Who are we talking about? Who we talking about? Who is who? I'm wondering who is that who on that discussion. But we got a good discussion going on. We got a lot of conversations in the air. You're definitely free to raise your hand and jump in. I'm going to take an opportunity for this break. I'm going to play a little bit of the summit and give you a little bit of the Dr. Aiden conversation. If you don't know what we're talking about, if you wasn't there, shame on you. Grandma disappointed in you. I want you to know the elders. No, I definitely think you should have been there, but whatever. But I'm going to play a little bit of Dr. Aiden because I did ask him one of the questions. I asked him a lot of the questions, actually, that a lot of us are always thinking, or at least you're hearing this again. Brother David, we were kind of talking earlier about starting to be elders in the liberation movement, right? And at least searching for decades and studying for decades at this point to start to see some of the same questions maybe that you either had encountered along the way kind of resurface now. And a lot of things are starting to resurface, which is interesting to experience, right? So is getting them AARP solicitations as well. But hey, it beats the alternative, right? I'm from a place where young brothers didn't make it out of there on them ages. So I'm never gonna take it for granted. And we got work to do because the ancestors been through literal hell for us to have these opportunities. But let me drop Dr. A, just a little bit of Dr. Aiden. Check this out. If you didn't see it, if you did see it, then you already know. Lean in to the conversation. Get your hand up if you got something to say, if you're inspired, if you don't like it, if you disagree. All of that is welcome in this discussion.
I love it. And I love that you kind of got into Mali because I want to jump into a conversation that, one, the history allows you to pick through the nonsense, right? Because there's a lot of misinformation that is floating around. And I guess I want to address one that is like floating heavy in the community, right? And I know it comes out of the Mali Empire conversation about Africans being indigenous to the Americas, right? I think you know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah. I've noticed this has come back again, and it's really, really prevalent now. Like, people are like arguing. You know how folks get when they talk more from passion than understanding. So can you talk a little bit about that, right? Maybe I just asked the question bluntly, like, as Black folks, are we indigenous to the Americas?
Woo, you give me the hard question second.
I was gonna wait.
You try to give me in trouble with the audience. They're gonna be like,
yeah. I'm supposed to let you they're supposed to like you first, right?
Yeah, a little bit. No, I mean, I appreciate the question. It's all, and I'm not afraid of it. So the blunt answer is Black people are not indigenous to North America or anywhere in this hemisphere. And there's a lot of answers that provide evidence for why. So I'm gonna walk through some of them. And I may go a little fast, but So this idea, the origin of this idea dates to a man named, what's his first name? His last name is E. Sorrento. And this was a man who lived in Mexico in the Yucatan Peninsula. He was the first person to discover the Olmec heads, right? And his name, I'm going to look it up right now because I prefer to give you the truth. His name is Melgar E. Serrano. I don't want to get his first name. Jose Maria Melgar y Serrano was the person who discovered the Olmec heads in the I think it's the 1870s, something like 1876. And then a few years later, his work, his writing about these people, he looked at their faces and said, well, these look like African or Ethiopian people. So that was what he went with. And then later there was a man named Alexander von Wertenau, who was Austrian, I believe. And he started writing that there were black people in the Americas before Columbus. And then in the modern era, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima picked up on this idea and proliferated it. Actually, he wasn't the first person. There was a white scholar at Yale named Barry Fell. Barry Fell was a marine biologist and he studied sea anemones. That was his area of expertise. But he wrote a book called America BC. And it was a year before Van Sertima's book came out. And, now the way that scholarship was published in the 1980s is completely different than it is today. Like universities and colleges basically professionalized their publishing processes. They made them more rigorous. They set high standards for what is constitutive of proof and what isn't. So I just want to say the context of that's the origin of this idea. And then, of course, there are a lot of Black grassroots intellectuals who are reading Ivan Van Sertima and other Afrocentric scholars in the 1980s, which is when I was going to college. And that's how I engaged with this material for the first time. Now, but let's just talk about the science, right? So the science is the hard part. What we know about mosquitoes, let's just take mosquitoes, for instance. There are two really important mosquitoes that are African mosquitoes. And we trace their origins genetically to anywhere between 100,000 years ago and 10,000 BCE. So before anyone came to this hemisphere, these mosquitoes were carrying certain illnesses, and scholars have tracked and traced that malaria, G6PD deficiency, sickle cell, yellow fever. There are a number of illnesses, dengue fever. These are indigenous to the African continent, and these diseases are only spread by African mosquitoes, right? So when we look at the populations in this hemisphere, none of them have these diseases. And the reason why we know they don't is because when Columbus arrives, they start dying left and right. I was going to say dropping like flies, but we're talking about mosquitoes. But they get really, really ill. And when we look at the rates of say, sickle cell anemia, remember, sickle cell anemia and malaria are flip sides of the same disease coin. So when we look at the rates, we see in Native Americans, they had no resistance to this at all. Now, I want to just talk about a historical moment that's pretty important. In Christ Parish, South Carolina, in I think it's 1643. Don't quote me, it might be a little later, but in 1643, in this parish, there were all of these enslaved Africans, and there were Native Americans who were also enslaved by the Europeans who lived in that parish. And there were two slave ships that arrived. I can't remember their names, but West African mosquitoes came off these slave ships. And there was a massive malaria outbreak. And it killed almost all the Native Americans. Matter of fact, it killed 85% of the people in that parish. The people who didn't die were the Africans. Why? Because they had immunity. So at that point, Europeans decided, white people in the United States decided, well, they were still Europeans then, right? I mean, they're still Europeans now, but more European than they are now, right? They decided, look, this is a business decision. We're strictly going to import Africans. They already have problems with Native Americans because they could run away and then blend into the other populations that were around the area. And how could you tell an enslaved person from someone who wasn't? And branding begins to emerge as a social practice in plantations because they wanted to distinguish who's enslaved and who's not, right? But in 1643 or 47, I believe, these mosquitoes come off these two slave ships and they decimate that parish. The Europeans barely survived. Almost none of the Native Americans survived. But the Africans were like, what? Because they'd been encountering these mosquitoes for at least 100,000 years on the continent in West Africa, right? And so I'm going to look up the names of the two mosquitoes real quick because it's just escaping my memory right now, the types. But you know, one is the Aedes aegypti mosquito, and the other is the Anopheles gambii mosquito. You think Gambia, you think the Gambia. That's the same place, right? Same the modern country of the Gambia and the Senegambia region. Those two mosquitoes carry all these diseases. We don't find any evidence of people having these illnesses. There's two different types of malaria, right? There's malaria vivex and there's malaria falciparum. Falciparum is the African version. We only find people being impacted by that when they arrive here. So I'm going to zoom out for a second just on this disease science piece. And I want to talk about Onesimus when I get a chance to. If I forget, just remind me. But I want to zoom out and say that so Africans and Europeans had been sharing disease pools from ancient times, right? Africans and the Romans were in North Africa. Just keep that in mind, right? And we know there were other people. There were some Greeks who visited Egypt really deep in the past. So we can just assume that Africans and Europeans were sharing similar disease pools. And so smallpox, Africans developed prophylaxis and treatment for smallpox, where they would take someone who had the smallpox boils and they would lance the boil and they would, on a stick, they would take the pus, I hate to be blunt, they'd take the pus from that boil and they would cut a slit in the shoulder of an African person. They would insert that pus into the shoulder and they were basically building immunity against that illness. So that person would get really sick, but then they would recover. And after that, they would have immunity, right? And then they also had herd immunity because enough Africans were doing this social practice. And this speaks to how Africans engaged in medical practices long before the West did, right? Africans were doing this. So let's fast forward to, you know, Onesimus. There is a massive, I gotta look him up too real quick because I want his date. But Onesimus, was an enslaved African American person living in New England, and there was a massive outbreak he lived in the 16th and 17th century, so that around that 100-year period. He's really famous. He was enslaved to a Puritan minister named Cotton Mather, and when this malaria outbreak hits Boston, it wipes Europeans out. And the Europeans are looking around like, why aren't the Africans dying? And Onesimus was brilliant. And I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, but he told his master, well, they're dying because of this. And we've seen this before. And this is what we do to treat it. Well, his master was like, you black, you don't know what you're talking about, boy. Right? And didn't want to listen for months. Meanwhile, Europeans are dropping like flies in Boston. But eventually Cotton Mather takes his advice and they start doing this prophylactic treatment. And all of a sudden the pandemic stops, right? It halts it in its tracks. And so when I talk about disease, like, well, Europeans, you know, in Southern Europe and North Africans have been sharing these disease pools, and West Africans were crossing the Sahara into North Africa and hanging out there. So that's where their immunity comes from. So, but when Columbus arrives on the Columbian expedition to the New World, when he arrives in this hemisphere, it's like, yo, the Native Americans had zero resistance to this. Also the common cold. Europeans had the common cold. Well, Africans were introduced to the common cold, we think, from Europeans. So Africans have resistance to that. So you add the common cold, smallpox, malaria, sickle cell anemia, G6PD deficiency, dengue fever, like yellow fever. The Native Americans had no resistance to this. Now I'm going to jump, that's just the science piece. Now I want to talk really briefly, because I want to take all our time talking about this, but really briefly.
I'm glad I asked you early. Because it is fascinating, though. This is fascinating. Go ahead.
It's fascinating. Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing, like, there's some people online who are like, oh, there was malaria.
Oh, don't you want to know where he go? Look, if y'all missed this discussion, man, y'all missed a great one. I'm telling you, you really did. Because he's just warming up. The sister's asking about Mali, Mansa Musa and the Malayan Empire. Here's the wild thing about all of this. One, I've been down all them rabbit holes my individual self. Two, this guy's a Fulbright scholar, a world-renowned expert on the Malayan Empire, and where he goes and takes this conversation, like, destroys all of this. And somebody was live in the comments, and like everything they said, then he just started addressing it, just because we floating on the surface level in a lot of these conversations, and it's like the multiplicity of levels that he handled the question, to me, was the most impressive. Because he was like, oh, wait, that's just the science of it, right? Because then we got to get into, and then this is where he addresses a lot of the stuff that we would typically bring up. And I was, David and I were reflecting at least on being multiple decades now into the conscious movement, into the conscious understanding and educating ourselves. I forgot the words that Dr. Aiden uses when he talks about the history. He got a term. He said it on here. It's escaping me right now. But it's really interesting because I love it. And then I love engaging with him because I was asking the questions that I know we thinking. I've read They Came Before Columbus. Like, come on. We read that, right? We studied Dr. Clark, right? We listened. We listened to Amos Wilson, right? We listened to all of the conscious community experts, right? Dr. Aiden talk about being a student of Ivan Van Sertima, right? He goes into all of that and his deep respect for Van Sertima, and that's his careful language with, it's not even really correcting the brother, because once you start to read and get deeper, you start to understand that, and he mentions this, Van Sertima recanted his conversation around this, but none of this reaches the tea leaves and the TikToks, right? See, now it's TikToks, right? It used to be YouTubes and all of that. I done did my time in the streets, in the streets, right? In the not the street. I'm looking for in the rabbit hole, right? In the rabbit hole, learning, growing, and being exposed to stuff that you're not gonna be exposed to unless you're going to deliberately look for it. And if any of y'all are in any of that conversation or something to resonate with you with what I'm saying, and if you don't get it, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We just still learning and growing. And I love that. That's where Dr. Aiden comes from with that. But I'm gonna give y'all a little bit more of this. But it's Juneteenth weekend. I got plans too, so I'm gonna get up out of here in a moment. But I want you to hear a little bit more of this. If you want the replay of this, it's $22. I'll drop the link in the comments. And outside of that, we have membership programs inside of Urban Intellectuals that we offered off of the back of this. I'll give you the links to that. You want to join us inside of our Sankofa Circle, it's $300 for the year. That's our offer. The regular price is much more than that. So if you want to pay on a monthly basis, that's fine as well. But come and be exposed to not only this type of engagement and insight and events, but something on a more regular basis, right? Because if you like what we do for free, just imagine what we do for our members. But anyway, let me get into a little bit more of this, and then we're gonna get out of here on this Sunday. Because the Sankofa Circle got Dr. Aiden coming up tonight, right? Teaching inside of our program. But check this out. Let's continue with the discussion.
Here in this hemisphere, but they don't understand the difference between the two types of malaria. There's a malaria that's less deadly that is in South America, for instance. But here's the other thing. Van Sertima claimed that Africans sailed here. The Olmec heads were crafted by Africans, by West Africans, by Malians, he says specifically. And he claimed that there were Malian scripts or Mande. The Mande speakers of the language family. I speak the parent language in this family. He claimed that there were scripts, like written characters, that we find in this hemisphere that were actually from Mali. But it turns out that's just not, there's no evidence of that. I hate to say that's not true. Van Sertima was such a big figure in Afrocentric circles. And I met him, actually. I met him twice.
Right.
But I would say that what we know today is that, well, a few things. One, there are a couple accounts that emerge around the time of Mansa Musa. There's the first account. And that account was collected by a Syrian historian named al-Umari, who visited Cairo, Egypt, after Mansa Musa passed through there on the pilgrimage and then left. Al-Umari went and interviewed the people who allegedly met and talked to Mansa Musa, and some of them did meet him. And in that account, he says that Mansa Musa allegedly told the warrant chief in the neighborhood he was staying in that his predecessor had sailed off into the Atlantic with 2,000 boats, canoes, and that there was a massive whirlpool that emerged in the middle of the Atlantic and it swallowed all the boats, but the king's boat backed up away and was able to escape. But then we never hear from the king again. And so al-Umari, he presents this account. There's another account in Spain that Van Sertima talks about where he claims that there were gold and silver tipped spears that Africans had that were found in this hemisphere, and that the chief metallurgist of the Empire of Spain assayed or tested these spears and determined that a certain percentage, like 40% of the silver and gold, came from West Africa. But we know today that that test never happened. And so that's one thing. Also, societies like the Mande speaking societies, they had primarily a musket-based society, from the 1600s on, not a spear-based society. And also, you need to make spears with hard metals. Silver and gold are soft metals. They have a low melting point. They bend at a really low, level of impact. So we know those aren't functional for hunting. And so that's something to think about. But what's fascinating is that Van Sertima's claims have just been re-amplified, and then people pick it up on social media and they spread these ideas around. Now here's the other thing. Mande speakers are iron workers, first and foremost. They were the pioneers that explored all of West Africa. Before anybody else, they explored West Africa. And their ironworking technology is super sophisticated. And they don't go anywhere without iron workers. And so we don't find any evidence of iron working here in this hemisphere at all. There are no iron implements in the Americas before the Columbian expedition to the New World. We've never found one on any controlled dig or archaeological excavation. And that says a lot, because there's been a lot of excavations all across this hemisphere. When we look at the Olmec heads really quickly, I'll say that, they have the features that they look like because the Olmecs crafted them to be viewed through a prism. And when you look at them through a prism, you see a different face altogether than you do when you look at them this way. And the other piece last piece I'll say is that we know where all of those heads were quarried. We know where the stone came from, and we know where the tools were made that were used to craft these heads, and all of it's indigenous to the Americas, all of it. Right. And then the last part I'll say is that in the middle of Van Sertima's claim, so he published his book in 1978, 77, 78. And at the same time, there happened to be a major study, a reevaluation of Olmec civilization. And Mesoamerican scholars, people who study, Central America, they realized that the date that had been given and used by scholars for the date of the Olmec civilization was actually way too late. Their civilization occurred much earlier. And so Van Sertima realized, dang, I need to retract my statements that the Mali Empire traveled to the New World and created these Olmec heads and built the Olmec civilization. There's no similarity in their languages. And so he ended up retracting his statement. Now there was a lot, there was a very hot time in academia. There were scholars who were angry that Van Sertima had made these claims because they thought, well, local people's own traditions and their own creativity should be highlighted. Not, we shouldn't just assume someone parachuted in from another society and conquered it and then made all the art, right? And so, long story short, there's an issue in the Journal of Current Anthropology. It's the summer of 1995, I think, where these Mesoamerican scholars, that's where they reevaluated this. In terms, I see a question right here from Dr. Anita Lewis. Great question. Where did the Olmec heads look come from? There are people who live in Central America right now who look like those heads. That's the other thing, right? So sometimes we will say, in grassroots scholarship, we'll say, you don't want to get caught up on lookership, or don't focus on the phenotype. Things can look similar but have totally different functions. Great example, the pyramids. We find pyramids all over the world, but internally their engineering is completely different and their functions were different. The ancient Egyptians, hey, they were all about the afterlife. That's why those pyramids were built. But when we look at the pyramids in, say, Central and South America, they have a completely different social function and their architecture is different. So people can imagine something similar, but put it to a different use in society. So as social scientists, that's how we tend to think of it. But there are people now. Last thing I'll say is that Van Sertima highlights this one passage in Columbus's second journal, and he reads it he interpreted it to mean, oh, Columbus saw black people, in the forest when he first arrived in the New World. But the passage actually reads, we saw people who were painted black and their hair was like a horse's mane or a horse's tail. So you can find people who paint themselves black in the Amazon right now today. Their whole bodies are black, except for maybe from the nose down, all black. And it's a symbolic way that culture represents itself. And so these are all important pieces of evidence. Like we look at all the pieces together, we say, oh, well, now I'll just say, as a social historian, I love archaeology. The minute we find some evidence, I'm all over that because that's a different animal, a different kettle of fish than where we are right now. That's the long, short answer.
Yeah. No, I'm glad I asked it because if I'd asked it at the end, we wouldn't have got all of that out. So I love that because it kind of makes the point on why understanding history is important, right? Because people are propagandizing. Now, this is inside of the Black community, right? So I'm gonna stop it right there. How do we get the entire piece? Yeah. Good question. That right above you, I just dropped that. Yeah, here you go, right here. So this is, if you want to get the entire discussion of Dr. Aden, you got to grab the replay. This was one of our special events. Listen, we do a lot of free material around here, but this is a business and we got things going on. There's salaries got to be paid around here, y'all. But no, some of our stuff is paid only content, and that's what this is here. What you I gave you a little bit of a piece of it. But Dr. Aden laid his foot into this discussion, which is why when the person, even here today, you saw him commenting, asking questions. I'm like, if you see the whole thing, the brother's literally an expert in this entire area, and it goes beyond the emotions. And that's what I was saying earlier is emotionally, my first response to him and this discussion and this commentary around this, he goes deeper, y'all. Like he ain't even done. Like he's not done yet, right? My first reaction is he wrong. My first reaction is I'm upset because viscerally that ain't what I want to hear, right? It's where we find research bias, right? That whole phenomenon of you tend to find what you're looking for, right? You can find support for what you're looking for, and anyway. He laid it down in multi levels, right? Like he gave a couple. Remember, he was like, "Oh, that's just the science." That's just this historical piece. Let me tell you about is where he's going in that discussion there. But then here's what y'all don't know.
So our circle members, give me a C in the comments if we got any circle members here or any of our legacy members that are, obviously got the circle as well. So we got levels in our memberships, y'all. If y'all want to come and join us, right, inside of Urban Intellectuals, it ain't just a lot of huff and puff and talk, man. We getting deep. Dr. Aiden is one of the instructors inside of our Sankofa Circle membership, by the way. So they got access to the behind the scenes of this interview. And what y'all see when you purchase the replay that I dropped in there and you grab that, it's $22. It was $15 if you'd have been on the call and you got it in time. Now it's $22. I'm going to tell you now, it's going to $75 when we archive the whole thing and it's over. And then that's what we're going to sell it for. But it's worth way more than that. Because if you enjoyed that, it get kind of crazy now. Because they had access to the behind the scenes. So we cut that at 30 minutes, and then we moved into our bonus Q&A with our members only access. And I asked the next question, right? And we got so much deeper. What's the next question, Freddie? You know what the next question is. Are you trying to tell me that the the shipping of Africans from Africa to the Americas didn't happen? Now, I don't know if you've been paying attention again to the tea leaves. This is another one of the discussions that's going around, that the slave trade is fictional. They made all of this up. So you give up your natural rights to the Americas. You can't make this shit up, right? You're giving up your natural right to the Americas by claiming, ancestry somewhere else. That's why all the DNA companies are composited to get you to sign off on your rights to the indigenous land. That's the discussion. I don't know. I don't know if y'all agree with that. I don't know if you heard it. I don't know. But this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is, believe it or not, I'm grabbing my credibility on this, because these are the discussions that are in the pockets that are bringing up the questions on, aren't we indigenous to this land? The slave trade never really happened. This isn't true. That isn't true. This is kind of the rabbit hole, right? But I've been in the rabbit hole. And I enjoy it. Listen, I'm going to live in the rabbit hole. I'm always going to be asking some questions that's off the wall because I want to know. But the good thing about Urban Intellectuals is we're going to get down with the experts and we're going to get to the bottom of it. And that's what our community has inside of our memberships, whether it's your children, you engaging us at the Sankofa Club level, whether it's you engaging us at the Sankofa Circle level, where we teach Black history to adults. Sankofa Club level, we teach that to children. Sankofa Legacy encompasses all of that and more, right? What is the information on your shirt? Make America Pay Reparations. Yeah, probably not the red that you thought it was going to be. We got the whole thing, right? We like to go deeper into the information. And I just like to say that from the people that are skeptical about, I don't know, and like, this is your crowd. I'm one of you, right? So I'm asking all of those questions and being concerned about all of those things and going to challenge on all of those levels, because I done did the reading. I done did some reading. I done did some study. I done listened to the lectures. I'm plugged in. I'm trying to find out. I'm digging. I'm searching. I'm growing. Putting down things that I learned that I thought was true, and I've evolved, right? I am, just to speak to my sisters, I am working against my patriarchy, right? I don't even know how to explain it exactly, but my default patriarchy, right? Like, you just think men this, men that. So yeah, working on a lot of things. We're working, right? We growing as a people. Give me grow in the comments if you growing as well, right? I think you are if you rocking with us, particularly in hour 3.5 of Sunday dinner. But I'm coming to an end on this. I do appreciate y'all being here. I got to tell you that like I love this space. I love these conversations. I love this growth. I love learning. If that's your thing, this is probably your community, right? If growth is your thing, this is probably your community. I appreciate y'all being here tonight. Today I'm trying to get out of here. This is like, yeah, priceless. I love this space. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it, man. Hopefully, like the engagement, at least challenge you in a couple of ways, made you a little bit upset. I want y'all to know if you leave here mad a little bit, I'm probably smirking inside. Right, right. I want you to know, like I'm not trying to be here to be liked, to be loved. I just want to be a source of inspiration, of thought. Please send the link in the email so we can forward the intel. Love the space. Like, oh, Yolanda, thank you. Thank y'all. Man, I do appreciate y'all. I do need to drop my links. Hold on. All right. I do have a final offer if you want to join us inside of is that it? Nope, that's not it. That's the replay offer right there. If you want to join us inside of our membership, you want to get closer to the organization, you want more. If you like what you've been engaging with us and you want a bit more, listen, here's an offer for Juneteenth. It ends tonight, midnight Eastern Standard Time. It's $300 for the year, 12 months of Urban Intellectuals, Sankofa Circle. Dr. Aiden's one of the teachers inside of here. Sister Ebron is one of the others, and we're adding additional touch points as well to communicate, not only with me, like all the interviews that you saw, if you were there on the summit. Still getting used to my new mic card. I ain't got it down yet. If you were there at the summit, right, then the interviews that we did were recorded, but the Sankofa Circle was there live, and then they got a special Q&A with each of the speakers beyond that. So everything you saw wasn't the totality of the discussion. That's why I was like, oh man, because what I didn't share was Dr. Aiden's finishing to that original question and a couple of others that I asked. But then off camera, when we went into the private discussion, I asked another one of those powerful questions. And he gave it to us. Same with Sister Kim, same with Brother Javier, Dr. Javier Wallace. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I don't got no PhD or no doctorate. So I'm gonna try to make sure I put some respect on folks' name when they jump in here. It's yeah, but it's all good. I definitely appreciate y'all being with us here today. Great Sunday, Dennis. See you.
Freddie?
Yes.
Freddie, before you leave, Miss Cecilia wants to know that she's paid for the replay and she wants to know how can she access it.
Oh, that's a great question. Glad you caught that. I believe Monday you should get the email and the availability of the replay, sister. Good question. Glad you asked that. But Sister Cecilia, you know what I'm gonna really say. I'm gonna really say, ask Sister Tamiko. Right. But if you send an email to support@urbanintellectuals.com and it gets you, Sister Cecilia, you already know the other email that you can email. I already gave her name away, Tamiko@urbanintellectuals. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be Monday, right? because obviously we have it. I ran a replay discussion yesterday with it, so I got it. They're going to send it out. Y'all, I'm not involved in the tech of the business at all. I'm terrible with the tech. In fact, they keep me away from the tech as far away as possible, right? But I appreciate y'all being here today. Hopefully you continue to get down with us. I think I gave you the link, right? Go if you want to go ahead and join us. Again, just $300 for the year. Listen, I'll just be blunt. Last year, we offered it for $200 for the year. And anybody that has that, you lock in your rate. So if the people that signed up last year, they locked in their $200 for the year, they're good. Into the all the way in, just until we kill the program, right? Like, or whatever the case may be. That price is your price no matter what we raise it to. Today, it's $300. Next year, it ain't going to be $300. Yesterday's price ain't today's price. Take advantage of it today. If you enjoyed the discussion, if you love what we do for free, you listen, let me just, y'all know here, y'all know I say it, I just say it. Ain't none of this free. 3.5 hours into this discussion, my time and attention is not free. The program, the airways that we doing around this is not free. Those emails, those texts that you get are not free. Nothing is free, but it's important because we got to have these connections. We got to have these spaces where we can have these conversations, because ain't nobody about to do this for us. But what I need my people to understand is all of this costs money. Now, I'm not trying to guilt you into supporting us. You're going to support us or you ain't. I'm a capitalist. I get it. Your business model works or it don't. And when it don't, it's just telling you to go back to the mixing board and come back with something better, right? It's not a rejection forever. It's just that wasn't it, right? Now, shout out to all my entrepreneurs out there. I done learned this the hard way. But the facts of the matter is, in this space, we have feelings on how people should act, would act, could act. When we don't support our own, we end up with entities that would do things less in our favor than we'd like as a result. This is, I get a lot. Well, why ain't your flashcards in Walmart? Why ain't your flashcards available in retail? You gotta understand, when you go through somebody else's distribution channel, you gotta adhere to what they say. So you like Brother Freddie, because he'll show up on a Sunday and act. Y'all, I don't know if you really know. You ain't been around yet. It's cool. It's cool. We roping you in. Come on inside. But we'll say what needs to be said. We'll have people in our Black History flashcards that aren't particularly approved. You know, folks like to marginalize and ban and cancel folks, right? But what happens when the people are connected? What happens when there's nobody in the middle of the relationship? Authenticity can happen. This what we about here. All from this country is for them to cut the damn check. Make America pay reparations. It's my only ask. I ain't got nothing, and leave us the hell alone. Because I know what happens when we come together. And even when we don't understand that, let those individuals do their thing. And we, as in those that get it, let's rock with one another. Let's circulate our dollar. Let's do all of the things that everybody else do but we are told to support everybody else. No, this is all of our move. This is a BIPOC. You'll never hear that shit. If you see BIPOC, you'll never hear that around urban intellectuals. I don't believe in that. I believe in black folks, talking to black folks, engaging with black folks, and anybody else that want to get down with us that's going to honor black folks. Other than that, we ain't got nothing else to say. Even if you a black folk. Because we getting down with us to circulate our dollar because we understand what that does for our economy, our community, and everything. Let's continue to build and grow together. I could keep going on and on about this. I appreciate y'all spending some time with me tonight. I gave you the link if you want to get down with our Sankofa Circle. Again, that's Dr. Aiden, Sister Gwen Ebron, and other special access into the urban intellectuals community. $300 for the year is the offer. So you can click that link, join us. I appreciate y'all being here on Sunday dinners. Every Sunday we do this. But if you like what we do all for free, all right, just imagine what we do when we lean into it and engage. But I like this idea of Juneteenth all year round, right? Let's keep the pressure on ourselves. I mean, I already think y'all friend, y'all president, I heard brother say he called him 47 because he ain't my president. I heard 40, y'all 47, is going to continue to remind you that we are who we need to continue to move forward. So I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Yeah, I want to hit you with the God bless, good night. But I hit you with until next time, love, peace, and power to the people. Good night, everybody.